Welcome everyone to another day of Clash Royale League Asia. My name is Joseph. Joined with me is G-Clef as always, and we're here once again, not for the regional qualifiers as you guys might have been used to for the past 2 weeks of broadcast. We're finally here as the regions will start to collide.
Yep, it's going to be the conference division starting from today, and we actually have all the players in Japan on the site, so it'll be very exciting. We will have different We used to have different production every day, but we'll have weekend of staying with the same production, and then the next weekend will be somewhere else, and the next weekend will be somewhere else. So it's going to be very fun for the players also who should be moving around between the countries. How exciting is that?
The players are actually just flying every weekend, week out, and just knowing that, the Korea versus Japan are the schedule for today. So that means the Korean players, which you kind of have used to them seeing them right here at the OGN studios, now are in the studios in Japan, getting ready to face the Japanese players. So really exciting prospect of what that could bring, because we're finally get to see kind of the comparison of the regions for the very first time.
And we'll get to see who comes up higher, on the standings, because we already see lots of teams on top. At the bottom, we are maybe going to see some. It's only been 2 weeks into the league. We still have lots more leagues, 6 more weeks actually before that postseason. So maybe we'll see some lower teams climbing up a little bit higher compared to right now.
Still a lot of Clash Royale left to be played in this Clash Royale League Asia. We began on the April 27th on Friday, and now we're here for the very first conference division, as you do say. It's going to be in a home and away system, as you can see, from weeks 3 to 8. Starting off week 3 today with Korea versus Japan. Means that we're going to see sometimes the Korean players in Japan, but the Japanese player will join us in Korea sometimes in the future.
I think the first weekend of June. So this weekend will be packed with Korea versus Japan, Japan versus Korea for the 3 days. We only have 2 matches on Saturday, but that's going to be it. Country versus country, or region versus region for the entire weekend. And next weekend we have Japan against the Southeast Asia. So you can pick your favorite region or watch the entire weekend if you don't really like the player or something. But if you really want to follow everything, of course you should do it all the time. And you can just watch every single weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're always available.
You guys always know that the weekend starts off exciting always with Clash Royale League Asia, always starting off from Friday and going all the way through Saturday, Sunday every week. So if you guys are done with your school, done with your work, and you're done with the weekday stress, just come back to just watch Clash Royale League Asia and just join us for all the fun that will be presented here. As you see, the schedule coming up for today is going to be OGN Entus versus Game With for our very first match, with OPG Skeleton versus Pono Sport. Here's the Sandbox and Fog Gaming to round us off for today. That means that you're going to see 3 of the 4 teams from both regions and duke it out here.
Yeah, it's going to be Sandbox. They are really looking for their first ever win, so they will be really practicing hard and prepped up super hard for the 3rd matchup tonight. And as you saw, it'll be the both regions. We do have super frame drops for some reason on today's matchup, but we do appear on the screen quite well.
We don't appear frame drops here for us, so we're gonna be real great. So, but you're not gonna be seeing King Zone today. That's gonna be the interesting part. So if you guys, I'm sure there's a lot of fans coming from the Expo Master, the premier player here in Korea, will not be playing today, and he's gonna be playing in the next matches to come on our dates that are set for Saturday and Sunday. So King Zone Dragon X won't be here, but the other 3 Korean teams, with the 3 teams from Japan, will be able to clash it out and see. Kind of get a comparison of Japan versus Korea and which teams are better and which region overall and seemingly looks better than the other.
Yeah, that's also a thing. We did find out who's the best team within the region for the first 2 weeks. Now we get to find out who's the best against the other regions. That's going to be exciting, of course. Even back in lots of history, Korea and Japan, they have been deeply competitive in all the sports, all the esports, all the time. So this one's going to be very exciting. Of course, also Data Nation is not playing, only 3 teams, 3 matches tonight. So that's going to be available tomorrow. That's a different time, but it will be still Korea versus Japan, Japan versus Korea in that way. So I'm very excited. How do you think it's going to come out?
I mean,
which region do you think is stronger overall?
Right now, I have been really up on Japan for the fact that week 1 has shown a really dominant force by 2 of the teams, but week 2 kind of showed that might not be the case. We thought that Game with this player Shun, he was really the one that bright, shown the bright light as to what Japan region can do for Clash Royale. And we thought that, he might be on the dominating force along with the rest of his teammates, but we figured out in week 2 that it wasn't the case, and we saw them struggle quite a bit and could not win their matches in the previous week. But now coming in here, we're going to see how they do against this Korean team here. We're going to see OJ and Entus here for the very first match of the day.
Yep, OJ and Entus not having all the wins from Korea, but still a very strong roster. As we have 3 players, I believe they are the ones playing tonight. Astro, Q-Mills, Kusera. They've been really dominant, and they have been focusing on 2v2 a lot compared to the other teams, compared to other Korean teams. But I do agree, I think Japanese teams are very, very strong in this league right now. Mechanically, their reflexes are insanely fast.
Exactly.
With the quick decks, they really go for the chip decks, and they always put something down as a defensive tool, and then they turn that around somehow with their mechanics, and then they just do it.
There you go. You see Shun on the roster this time around. Imagine he's going to be playing at least a 1v1 or even 2v2. Could get that answer, obviously, when we do get the presentation on, but been really excited about this player and this team overall, but that one loss that came through last week was a surprise. I thought they would easily go ahead and get through a 3-0 blowout of their region and not have to face any type of even difficult defeat, but that was a tough one where they faced without Shun, and see how they couldn't really get all the answers on against their Japanese team, and really showed that maybe Shun was the kind of the missing piece in that puzzle, but we'll kind of get a better answer to that obviously for today, because he'll be playing in the roster today.
Never got to really get a chance because they lost against Destination 2-0 straight, never got to that ace match.
Yeah.
And tonight I think they're really looking for that, because of course once he's on that, you can actually go for the ace match once again.
So I think we briefly saw that Shun was not going to be on the 1v1 here, so might be just participating in the 2v2. We're going to see the first bans coming through, as we see the Balloon coming from OJ and Entus. See the Elixir Collector being banned out here by GameWith.
I believe he's Yui Hiro. And look how exact the referee is. 3, 2, 1. Now you can talk to your teammates.
There you go. See the teammates coming out with the allies, helping with the proposition of what cards to begin this very exciting conference division, as we do have, for the first time in Clash Royale League Asia, we're going to have the regions kind of bursting it off and clashing with each other. It's going to be the very first time, as we only saw kind of the home regions and the teams that you're very familiar with just kind of go against each other, but this time it's going to be about foreign teams. Teams that you have less information of, and the teams that you don't know too much of, and see how they're going to do. Finally, we're going to get to see kind of the difference in skill between the certain teams.
Yeah, of course, first of all, it's about information and how they like to have that as a change. They all had the matches available out there. Clash Royale League Asia, the one we cast, of course.
Yeah.
And we saw not too many decks actually. So a lot. Actually, the players have been saying, especially the Korean players, they have been super confident going into the other regions. They were saying, I just have to get my mindset straight and try to win the mind game, because I think mechanically they are pretty dominant overall. But especially like Sandbox, they have one of the best rosters, but they've been losing quite a lot in the mind games. They haven't really counter-decked by the opponent all the time.
It just seems like the mindset of the Korean players has been mostly about the battle against themselves, rather than just worrying about their opponents. If they can overcome the difficulty they're facing when they're trying to prepare their cards and trying to make sure they win their games, it's just really a battle between yourselves, struggle between yourself that you have to overcome. And once they get to do that, they feel like their opponents are not the kind of the factor that gets them to lose the game. But it just seems that OJ and Entus, they're in this away ground here. Here in Japan, you see the OJ and Entus players, all 3 of them are now standing in the Japanese ground, just getting ready to play the games here. See how they do. It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, OJ and Entus for the very first time playing in Japan. See how they do.
Yeah, even Elixir Collector, I do see it in my sheet that it was banned last time against Kusera.
Yeah.
So it should be the same. It should be a similar deck that's going to come out. Last time he banned P.E.K.K.A instead of Balloon. But Balloon has been super effective once you draw out some bait, especially the anti-air ones, and then you just put that balloon right on top. Of course, even using freeze spells sometimes, which is not too common in the ladder, but in this case in esports, it is always possible.
We also saw, Japanese players not too afraid to play heavy decks. We saw a mixture of chip damage decks with a much lightweight deck, but we also have seen these players utilize very much the heavy cards, the heavyweights, as you will. We could see with the balloons, we could have saw the Lava Loon combo, obviously with the Lava Hound and the balloon being very effective for a lot of the players, but definitely not going to see it here with the balloon being banned. Might just negate a Lava Hound altogether.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Of course, without the Elixir Collector, maybe a little bit less. With that ban, you usually see the Giant or even the P.E.K.K.A. sometimes.
Right.
Less of a Golem, of course, less of the Lava Hound. But even without that, Korea's especially good at the Expo.
Yeah.
And they use that a lot. Not just because we have the Expo Master from Korea, but I think it's in general, they really like to use those structures to actually do direct damage to the towers.
We might also just get to see just a chip damage versus chip damage and who gets the first tower first. And that is going to be the interesting thing that we have not yet seen from these different regions who have kind of more favored the heavy decks to go around, especially the Southeast Asia region, who are really just fans of going all in on just one draw there.
Yeah, that's right. Yu-Gi-Oh! Using lots of miners, doing some chip damage. That was basically it. And along with that, not as much poison though.
Okay.
So we'll see some differences in that because a lot of the Korean players liking to use a poison spell and some chip damage along with some barrel, maybe miners.
Sure.
But Japanese players not really prioritizing that poison spell too much. So that's going to be a little different. Push-up coming.
It's going to come to a lot of surprises for both of these players as we're getting ready to start the first game between OG and Entis and game with, more importantly, Korea versus Japan. It's going to be on the line here as we see Kesera versus Yu-Gi-Oh! For the very first match. See the band cards coming through are the Balloon and the Elixir Collector on both sides. See on the bottom, Kesera for OG and Entis is going to be on the blue. And the Yu-Gi-Oh! On the top on the red side.
Ooh, Baby Dragon. The one that actually Kesera used before. So and the Tombstone that Yu-Gi-Oh! Used before. So they're having different decks all over for now. There's the Golem already being dropped.
Wow, that's going to be a really early summon of the Golem. You saw even the Graveyard being summoned. So just trying to make sure that 8 Elixir used goes to waste as he pushes all of his units in. It's not, prioritization is not about stopping the Golem for right now, just trying to get chip damage on, but the Ice were just slowing him down, but really the Golem is still going to be pushing quite hard.
It seems like it actually just may be a waste. So there comes a Lumberjack. He actually wants to push this one out. Yu-Gi-Oh! Comes in with the Mega Minion, even going straight to the tower. Get dragged.
We're seeing the Ice Wizard just slowing down the Golem, but the push is still on its way. And we're going to see one mini Golem explode onto the turret. Obviously not too much damage coming through, and see all the units now going to just be dying to the Princess Tower as we do see the first push. Not the most successful for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Crusader actually did a lot more damage, even with that poison spell on top of the Graveyard.
You see the second to the last card being revealed by the side of Yu-Gi-Oh! But we'll see the Graveyard once again. Baby Dragon, very good counter. Make sure they get multiple skeletons at a time for each attack.
Pretty good splash damage, but did connect about 200, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's pretty slow of a attack speed as a Baby Dragon.
Golem coming through for the side of Yu-Gi-Oh! Perhaps he has a different strategy this time around, because the last time around, the Ice Wizard coming in from Kesera really stopped the tracks and didn't allow the Golem to do much damage, and see what he thinks of it this time. Someone's Ice Golem once again. Poison.
Poison offensively this time.
Yep. Poison both ways here. Obviously, for the same reason, obviously wanting to push the Golem forward. The Ice Wizard are going to be gone by the Lumberjack, but the Tornado very nicely done slowing down.
Tornado, that's a lot of spells actually used by Kesera as a defensive
but the damage is not coming through. That's the most important thing for right now, Kesera, just to make sure that these Golem push does not do significant damage, and he succeeds again in defending. Of course, he used a lot of Elixir to get that done.
Great poison to counter.
Yeah,
the
very
Graveyard,
nice.
once again, he had that as a defense. He had used it for an offensive move.
Direct counter with the poison there.
Still having a quick cycle because the rest of his cards are super low. Mega Minion, Ice Spirit, and Tombstone very low in Elixir.
See the double Ice Wizard trying to just slow it down, but Golem is still pushing. And we're going to get to the overtime to see what we can make out of it. The Rage is going to be opening up for the death of the Lumberjack. Still pushing forward with the Baby Dragon, trying to get a lot of chip damage on.
Doesn't really help too much for Yu-Gi-Oh! To actually have Lumberjack as a push. His Rage doesn't really help too much to the Golem, but only to the Golem because it's super slow to the Tombstone all the time.
We're still seeing the Graveyard being countered quite hard by the side of Yu-Gi-Oh! There. Really easy to get that done with a poison. Still, no significant damage coming from either push through.
may actually be end up at the tie, but we still do have a lot of time, 2:20 left on the clock.
Yeah. As for the time being, we're seeing the graveyard spawns, even though countered by poison, does about 200 damage per
makes
push.
a change golem right on top of the bridge. He's going all the way in right after Tombstone.
Gonna be an early push coming in. The first set of golems are now destroyed, but this golem is gonna be pushing through with the Tombstone not there to aggro it away. Gonna get the tornado in. Will it get the Tombstone on time? But the golem is still heading for that Princess Tower.
Just enough time to actually drag it all the way out and get the Tombstone down. But golem still survives. Even the Baby Dragon now is connecting his own tornado.
Tornado coming through, but that's gonna be the Mega Minion. Oh, that was really close.
But nothing else to pair it up. Just the tornado was way too used.
And the Baby Dragon still doing a lot of damage. That's gonna be the one tower that was needed by Yurihiro to stop him there. And Kesera did not find the answer for that early push. This time putting the very end golem right on the lane, and that was the one that couldn't be countered by the side of Kesera.
How well played. He just had the control with the golem and needed to change his attack pattern because everything was getting stopped by that Tombstone all the time, and he made it change. He was willing to really push all in. Once he had the right cycle with the spell of his own, he just made that happen with the poison pushing in. Tombstone was basically destroyed with that Lumberjack, and the Baby Dragon was not even touched.
It was interesting how Yurihiro, he just knew that the golem was being stopped by the Ice Wizard more than anything, so it wasn't really being killed off. It was mostly being slowed down while the Princess Tower was knocking off. So he literally thought, why summon Golem a little bit early? Let's summon it right on the lane there. Even with the Ice Wizard, he's not going to stop me on time as long as he can't get the Tombstone on there. And he thought that very correctly. Even the poison just knocking out the very measly units that mostly was around Kesera's deck over there.
Yeah, once you don't really have anything like an Inferno Dragon, which is available, it's not banned in this case. But they had a lot of targets. Baby Dragon is a good target for Inferno Dragon, and also the Golem. But in this case, without that, just the Tombstone, very low in HP actually, was not just enough to actually bring down the Golem. And everything else, Baby Dragon, people don't really realize because it's not been used in ladder as much, but very, very high in health point.
Yeah.
You can actually push decently with just the Baby Dragon with a few of your ground units together.
Definitely, and we're going to see a timeout coming in from OG Entus after they suffered that first defeat. Of course, you can only use one single timeout throughout the entire series between two teams. Now that means that after the very first match here, it just means that OG Entus feeling pressured, but the loss they have taken, it seemed like they didn't have a true answer. Even the Graveyard was kind of the main offensive strat for Kesera, but was countered by the poison every single time. So didn't have an answer to that one, so he needed an extra time here, an extra 1 minute given now towards Kesera to make sure his deck is ready to go for the second game.
Only 12 seconds. He had an extra minute, but same for the opponent team as well.
Yeah.
So it can go either way. Let's see if Yurihiro keeps the same golem. That even after the Elixir Collective, we usually see a big long wait between the two players for the double Elixir mark for the last minute before the overtime. But in this case, he dropped it at 2:30ish, right after. He was trying to have that slow push on going, and then he knew exactly what time, when to drop that golem right on top of the bridge, because you also had few of your units at the pushing at the same time.
Just seemed like Yurihiro very comfortable on that first game. He didn't seem pressure whatsoever. Every attacking move that was sent by Kesera was easily countered by side of Yurihiro. Means that that confidence can go a long way into this game too, and see if Kesera can fight back and bring this back to even, because his team definitely is needing a win right here.
Yeah. If Kesera drops this game, they will lose the first set.
Yep.
1v1 set. As you see the crown on the game right next to Yurihiro.
Been talking about game with potentially might be the strongest team in Japan, and now they're showing another strat of why that might be the case. The poison being sent down, obviously to do a little bit chip damage, but it's not going to slap the units ultimately.
What a great one to actually do damage to the hub and the tower together. Chip damage again, coming out from Kesera.
Royal Ghost, gotta be knocked away by the side of the Mega Minion coming from Yurihiro. Electro Wizard being used by both sides here. Poison here again, very nice to knock away the Minion, and even the Electro Wizard, that 4 Elixir unit is going to be gone just by that one spell.
Very, very good of a trade for Yurihiro. Of course, he took about the same damage, a little bit less compared to, but he does have his favorite minor once again. Pretty sure it was very expected, even Kesera dropping that minor.
Very similar deck as we see coming from both Yurihiro and Kesera, so Maybe other than the Bandit, we might see just literally a mirror, a presentation of the decks being brought out here today.
I think it's mostly due to the change or something else that we're going to see.
We see
going to be the one with the HUD, very likely.
Okay, so we're seeing network lag. So
yeah, but I think the players are playing the game fine.
Okay.
There's been a massive attack. Yes, lots of lightning zaps happen. And we're down to about the same HP. Miner comes out from Kusera once again.
We're back to the game. And of course the players, assuming they were still in the game and playing it while we were just having that network lag, we still did.
Kusera already had used the Elixir Wizard as a defensive tool against the Miner, so I think a similar pattern happened, just one more.
Bandit coming in just to knock off one Goblin at a 10. Now the Goblin HUD. Very
nice. Great
dashes
directly to the tower. Nicely done by Kusera there.
It's a decent amount of damage coming in, and Royal Ghost is going to do some chip damage there, but the Poison is going to be knocking it away. The Royal Ghost almost down to nothing there as the Poison comes through.
Here comes the P.E.K.K.A. Final card from Yu-Hiro.
It's the one that wasn't revealed, and the P.E.K.K.A. from the other side, so it's a very similar deck as we predicted earlier.
The thing is, Yu-Hiro has a structure. He has a Goblin HUD, which will be spawning Spear Goblin every single time, which could be somewhat troublesome for Kusera. I think Poison Spell timing is crucial.
Yep. Very quick to summon that once again. The Poison coming through from the side of Yu-Hiro.
But look at the Miner. Miner is doing so much damage from behind.
Yeah, there we see still putting at it. Obviously the Goblin HUD just trying to stay alive as long as he can to soak up all the damage coming in from the Korean player. Kusera just still trying to stay even. As you see the tower right now pretty much even on both sides. Sudden death coming through with the Poison.
P.E.K.K.A. being spawned but has to be dragged by Miner. It may actually help Kusera, but it took a long time. Miner down to 294.
Yeah, 294 for the side of Kusera. He has to be careful. The Zap use it a little bit preemptively. See the P.E.K.K.A. there. Bringing that down as well.
Even Electro Wizard just to delay the attack a little bit. Bandit dashing in, not going to be enough. Yu-Hiro, I believe he has the Miner and the Poison and the Long just to finish the tower.
We're going to see one hit coming in from the Miner there, but the Poison from 210 might be enough to finish him off, unless the Miner can finish it off on the other side. 86, one more hit, and that's going to be the one to finish it up. Poison is not fast enough when you get the Miner on the other side for Kusera doing chip damage at a time. That 1 second of a difference was what Kusera got the win there on game 2.
Great comeback, having that control down to last 48 HP. I mean, how close was that? The last final one, the Electro Wizard having that predicted right after, even with the move on the left of the tower for the bottom one. That was pretty amazing from Kusera right there.
Poison was eventually going to get Yu-Hiro the win, but he needed more time as a Poison drops the tower damage just a little bit slower than a Miner can do with each spike with that shovel there. So very nice coming from Kusera. Got very fortunate with the fact that the Miner summoned just 1 second earlier, and that was made all the difference. That got him the win there.
Yep, great mind game coming from Kusera. If Yu-Hiro actually tossed down the Miner to the right side or all the way behind, maybe if he connected one more shot to that tower, I think he just got that game.
It was only a one-shot difference when it comes to that's what makes these chip damage decks really interesting to watch when you have it on both sides. You saw basically a mirror presentation of both of these players almost playing the same deck. Obviously centered around the P.E.K.K.A., but it was mostly about that chip damage.
It was pretty nice to see an insane game like that. And once I think it's because you can't really predict exactly where the Miner is going to be. Very oftentimes the same type. I think just by watching the log, because it was towards the King Tower, you could kind of predict, okay, it's going to be on the left side instead. Drop that Electro Wizard right there. Miner never getting a hit onto that tower was crucial. And these players have massive reflexes, like down to like 0.02 seconds.
It was,
something.
And that was the smallest amount of differences. But let's look at the bigger picture of things. As we get into game 3, Yu-Hiro looked really comfortable in the way he won game 1. But it seemed like Kusera just barely won out that game 2. So what do we kind of expect coming into this game 3?
I think once again Miner. Very likely some chip damage. And they had Poison all the games, which has been so effective against all the units and all the structures.
Okay, so we're seeing a similar start to the game here as we see the Royal Ghost for Yu-Hiro on the top. Kusera starting off with the Ice Golem with the Mega Minion just trying to support the damage. But he's going to get the hit onto the Royal Ghost. They might be a little bit far away, but yeah, just retracts back in time. The Ice Wizard this time around for the side of Kusera. So as I said, a little bit reminiscent of the Game 1 deck we saw from him in the very first game of the game series here.
Kisera drops that poison before the Goblin Nut, so we'll be missing some of the damage, but still Ice Wizard and the Mega Minion was just enough to actually destroy it.
Okay, that last Spear Goblin, just made sure it had all the aggro to make sure the Ice Wizard did not do the damage to the tower. But getting one measly spear onto his opponent's tower.
Every 50 damage.
Hey man, everything counts.
It's worth it every time.
See, another Ice Golem being summoned by Kisera. And go against Yui here. Once again, very similar deck to what we saw. May be exactly the same from Game 2 from Yui, just a little bit different from Kisera.
Let's take a look at how Yui wants to do the damage here, as Kisera very likely holding that Tombstone, waiting for that P.E.K.K.A to come directly to that Tombstone.
Yeah, so he definitely has it right there, just trying to stall some time. The Poison even just trying to stop the Mega Minion on the tracks here as well, so really interesting use coming from that.
Use a Poison from Yui doing a lot more, doing multiple damage to the towers, and the Minor connects.
The P.E.K.K.A.'s not stopped. Is he going to get one hit? He's going to push him back, and the Mega Minion finishes him off, and that was a really close call when it came to that one slash. Could have done a lot of damage onto the side of Kisera.
Down to Elixir Trade, Yui actually winning that one.
One hit coming in from the Mega Minion as he just dies in his tracks, and once again the Tombstone is going to be rivaled by the Goblin Hunt, as we see another P.E.K.K.A being summoned by Yui.
As you guys can tell, at the same time, it's oftentimes when this kind of game continues, it's mostly from the poison value. How much value can you actually get off one single poison? Was it really worth that 4 elixir, or was it actually worth 8 elixir? That's going to be the massive value coming in from either players.
Okay, we're going to see a lot of units now rushing down this path for Yui with the leading of the P.E.K.K.A. How far can he go? Another Electro Wizard being summoned here. The Miner just waking up the King's Tower right there.
Yeah, stat activated. Going to be somewhat of a help, but
I don't know if that was going to be important here, as we see P.E.K.K.A just stopping with the Tombstone. He's going to get one hit. Very nice use coming from Kisera to make sure the P.E.K.K.A does no damage to his tower.
It does decent amount of help, of course, but once Yui really connects that damage to the tower, it's going to be massive hits every single time.
And now it becomes really difficult for Yui because he has to compensate for the fact that the damage will be coming from the King's Tower as well. That makes it a little bit difficult when you're trying to do just mostly melee damage onto your opponent's tower.
This will be very similar to Game 2. It will be very close. It's mostly the tower is going down from that poison spell. We're not really connecting too much. Of course, if Kisera gets that graveyard damage massively onto that tower, that will be just game over. But the problem is P.E.K.K.A, so he has to use the poison all the time, just like that.
Okay, so it's going to be the poison spell used now, so the graveyard make it vulnerable for the side of Yui. He does get struck by it.
Miner not getting caught by the tornado, getting decent amount of hit to the tower.
Okay, look at the P.E.K.K.A here. I wonder if he can get rushed in. That one hit should be able to get the job done, but the Tombstone still pulling up all the aggression there. Still down to 557, down to 530.
Sarah losing big time in the Elixir trade right now. Yui, he knows that he has control over this game already.
So he's going to see one spear at a time. You talk about 50 damage. That makes all the difference. Now we're down to 480 for Kisera. Just a few more hits. Even the poison to do a lot of damage. The Miner really not being stopped there. Does take 2 hits. And 271 down to maybe going to get to a little bit under 200 there.
Having that log will just be enough with another Miner, just one single hit. So Kisera putting everything down here with the graveyard.
Yeah, the graveyard is going to be an all-in effort coming in. The poison just trying to stop it, but it's going to be offensive poison trying to make sure he stays alive. 754, 172, and that's going to be the Electro Wizard finishing it off for the side of Yui and Game Win, picking up the first win in this series for Japan. Very nicely done there. And really, the first win now going over to Japan over Korea now gets us excitement to what to expect for the later series.
Yeah, lots of chip damage, as we already have a ban on the Elixir Collector.
Yeah.
It was less likely we were going to see those big heavy units, but we did see the Golem from Yui for the first time, and then he made a great push. It seems like in terms of adaptation and changes into the game, sometimes you have to change things on the fly, and you just have to do it. And there are ways of just cycling better. If you have a cheaper deck, you can do it a lot quicker, better. You will lose less elixirs in that way. That's why a lot of these pros are actually using the cheaper ones compared to the heavy. And I think Yui just did it better.
Game 3 talked about P.E.K.K.A being the central part of Yui deck, but 3 waves through, he figured out that wasn't going to cut it. So he just went back to all the smaller units to do most of the damage, especially the miner doing 1 chip damage at a time with the offensive poison. And over time, he got more damage done than his opponent in Korea for Ojanentis, and that got him the first win and feeling very good about game with chances against this Korean team.
Yeah, that's right. Once it comes down to about a little bit less than 600, you don't really need that P.E.K.K.A anymore. You can just finish up with the poison and the miner and a few small units. Let's move on to 2v2. Your favorite player, Shun, right there.
There it is. It's the superstar right there for Shun. We hadn't got to see him in week 2, and that resulted to his team losing out against Detonation Gaming. Of course, there was a regional conference in that aspect, but now we're here. It's Japan team facing up against the Korean team, with Ojanentis not being able to pull out the win in this first set in the 1v1. Now we're at 2v2. Can Shun perform again? Can he show what he has shown us in week 1 that has impressed so many people from his debut coming for this game with team?
Even at 2v2, Ojan has been practicing a lot. From the interview, we could tell that they were really, of course, individually, they've been playing this game for mostly for 2 years and more.
Yep.
And it comes down to 2v2. It's a new one. It's a new match, and there are lots of creative ones. We saw the meta kind of shifting into the giant skeletons as a defensive tool against everything. Basically, that explosion damage, the death damage, just kills everything.
I mean, in week 1, we saw the heavy pushes, especially with the golems, just push all that power into that one side. Into one side. And that's what they did for that first week. And they felt like the answer to that was to get your other heavy artillery units in the first push there. But we really just saw how the giant skeleton was the kind of the answer to your defensive strats. If you have 2 giant skeletons exploding in that same radius, blowing up thousands of damage onto all your enemies, and man, it does a lot of damage to get that defensive strats gone.
Out that clone spell as well.
Yeah.
You make that into 4.
Oh my goodness.
You can't have anything going past those bombs next to the bridge.
It is over 4,000, as someone would say. God.
Well, we do have the tornado ban from both sides.
Important ban, obviously, coming in as the most high priority for these 2v2 matches was the tornado. Kind of rivaled a little bit by the balloon. For 2v2 matches, obviously, it can be sneaked in there once you do have your heavy artillery in. Saw the balloon utilized many times, so that will be open for this 2v2 match, but the tornado still a very much a top priority ban for mostly 2v2 so far.
In terms of 2v2, they have been using lots of defensive ones with the miners only, and they do have their favorite, poison. That's the most important thing, I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes even a rocket spell actually used to take down the tower once it goes below 1,000.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
We saw that double rocket sometimes.
Double rocket to finish off the game. Does happen sometimes, but not paired up with a tornado this time. So it could be less of a defensive tool.
So we might not see the executioner combo, and obviously with the rocket being connected with the tornado, we've seen that quite well, actually, to explain. But without the tornado, it's going to be a very usual 2v2 match that you've probably gotten used to in the past 2 weeks, and Giant Skeleton's still in play, so that defensive strats of trying to go all in at one side just might not work again.
KK once again for 2v2, 3rd time from the team.
Played in last week's matches and did not succeed in getting the win for his team, but he's going to be joined in by this player here, Shun, player at the center of all our attention. See what he does again.
Yeah, look at that. Never lost.
Never lost a single game. I mean, and he won it convincingly. That's the most important part. It doesn't matter about whether he's undefeated. It's not about W2. It's not about 2 wins, 2 wins. He won those 2 games of each 1v1 and 2v2 in such a convincing manner. That just got the reason why we're so excited about this player altogether.
I think that's the reason. And even if you have a deck that's super countered against the opponent, if you actually have the mechanics, you can make that happen. Of course, in pro scene, it's going to be a lot more disadvantage for your side.
Yeah.
But even with that, I think he's able to actually accomplish something else. He's got the great mechanics and reflexes and defense moves. He just drops everything perfectly in the perfect spot. The placement and the timing of the card was excellent.
Exactly. The timing has been the most articulate in the way that he has played the right hands at the right time. And he's sort of a player that in situation where you do not expect, he pulls the rabbit out of the hat and literally makes impossible into possibility. And Shun, you know, we can't hype this player enough because of course, it only appeared in the first week of our Clash Royale League Asia, but being absent in week 2 and showing how the team strength has dropped overall, we only can be excited just again to see back in on week 3.
Yeah, Cumulus and Astro also great player, not as much as I would say compared to the Japanese players right here, but having lots of play, 5 games Astro and 2v2, and also Cumulus having none of the 2v2 yet, but he's got something else, of course. With practice strategy, lots of information for the other team to actually know. And going into the game, it can be a painful thing. Maybe we'll see something else from 2v2 this weekend as we have different regions going against each other.
Definitely been seeing the 2v2 meta shift from week to week. So knowing that this is a new game type and people are still experimenting with the players and trying to make sure what is the most optimal deck to go with, still no one has had the real answer quite yet. And we thought it was the Golem, just pushing on one lane, and that has been countered in week 2, just with Giant Skeletons blowing everything up in sight.
Yep, and against that we had lots of charging units, like the Battle Ram, and even Bandits. Lots of dashing one with the Dark Prince. First off to Miner, which leads me to believe they want to do some chip damage. They want to have that happening from the beginning. The Golem already being dropped from game with already.
Very typical summon of the Golem for the Japanese team with game with. Gonna have the Elixir Wizard to make sure the Dark Prince is put to a minimal. Second Dark Prince being summoned here by Oginentis.
Great value on that poison.
Yeah,
massive damage to all the units basically.
Still gonna see them surviving to another day. So how long can these units survive? As we see, most of them going down for now. The Prince is even gonna be frozen up to make sure it doesn't do anything horrific.
But the real damage that they actually want to do is that Miner, connecting so many hits down to almost below 200.
It's still right around 2k. Actually, the Minion Horde, haven't seen that card in competitive play quite yet, but here we see it. It's a kind of a defensive maneuver from Shun and KK from game with.
Skeleton Barrel has been buffed to 7 skeletons now.
Yeah.
Even better with their own poison, actually.
Okay, the offensive poison coming in now. The skeleton, okay, very nicely done by the Electro Wizard to make sure the skeletons landing on the ground do not do any significant damage.
So they did get their push somewhat, about 500 in. It's about how they defend this one last time.
Yeah, how does a Golem make its push? That's the important question here as a Dark Prince still pushing forward. Dark Prince gonna get damage done, but the balloon coming in. We talked about this might be a sneaky call. The rocket gonna get maximum value right there, doing the damage both to the Golem and to the balloon there. Very nicely done.
They were holding in that rocket. We were questioning if they were going to use that rocket once again. And here it comes. Exactly, I think they were trying to look for those kind of secret cards,
on the
playmaking cards.
Winning end right now. You see the Ice Golem gushing at the tanking abilities against the Prince coming in from the game with team.
Scarecrow going again. Miner taking the damage, but Skeleton, they do have the Electro Wizard.
Oh, no! Electro Wizard summoned the early time, and that was a missed time. That was going to be crucial as we see it drop all the way down to 200 for game with. What a terrible mistake there. That is huge right there.
I know you're expecting it, but dropping that a little bit too early. Maybe and they are looking for a change here. They're dropping the balloon to the other side. Even a freeze.
Oh, I don't know if this is a great strategy. The freeze will not last forever. Even the Ice Spirit finishing off. That might be the first game. Now going over to OG and Entrance. Very nicely done. The Skeleton Barrel, the second time around, has been fluked by game with as that Electro Wizard was summoned early, doing no effect to the 7 skeletons landing on the ground.
Yeah, that was greatly done. I mean, the strategy and what they wanted to do, they were going to have, over time, they were going to, I think they were really looking for that chip damage, but they just got super lucky with that Skeleton Barrel.
Yeah.
Electro Wizard dropping second too early, actually quite early. Everyone saw that right there.
The biggest mistake you could have made, especially with the Electro Wizard, with that 4 Elixir, does maximum effect when you just land it right on the ground on these measly skeletons. Just blows it up all at once.
Easy.
Can be an easy tool to make sure those skeletons do not do any damage, but that 1 second of a difference makes all the changes when you can talk about your tower falling from 1,000 to 200 in a matter of seconds.
It's going to be bad regardless. Even with that taken out, they were getting the chip damage, and compared to that, their golden push was not as strong.
Yeah.
Even with the Minion Horde getting zapped and basically taken out from the tower only. It was really tough. Balloon countered by the rocket. So what else did they have?
Yeah,
They
exactly.
tried to go to the other lane, make something else happen. With the freeze that they've been holding this entire game. Not even enough. Rocket, Ice Spirit, just enough to take it out.
Really all you need. And timeout being taken by GameWith means that they are startled for the very first time here. Just means that this is the reason why they wanted to just get this and make sure they are ready for the second match to go. See them preparing the decks for the second game. We might see a drastically different deck coming out from GameWith in game 2, and could be a possibility against OG Entis, who looked incredibly comfortable in countering all the offensive maneuvers coming from GameWith.
Yeah, I think they really have to change, even without that mistake. As I said again, I think they were going to be tripped down to zero HP.
Yeah. Let's also see Shun, player that we're quite excited about. Have not performed really on this first game here, and he's going to come back in game 2. Hopefully show us the great potentials of what we saw from him in the very first week. Could see that again in week 3, but OG Entis, like I said, very focused on that 2v2 practices and really showing the payoff in the way they were allowed to just use the defensive strats to make sure they countered everything that GameWith had thrown at them. Now they could just transition that over to the offense and showed very good wits about how to counter that attack coming in.
Yeah, so far Golden double prints with the balloon, not as effective.
Yeah.
Ogen got every single way of defending all the ones, and I think it's about time. Maybe they will switch out to their own chip damage with the miner, which they like to play a lot.
Could see that, and haven't seen really a lightweight decks for the Japanese teams in 2v2 scenarios. But like I say, gotta make what counts, and if one doesn't work, gotta try the other, and could see that from GameWith here again as we see the OG Entis versus GameWith, this 2v2 match. Currently, the Korean side has the 1 game advantage. This 2v2 format, best out of 3 once again.
Of course, GameWith took the first set, so OG really needs to come back in this 2v2 to go into that ace match right after.
Golem versus Golem.
Again.
Seeing again, but this time from OG Entis as well. So it's gonna be about Golem versus Golem. Who can make a better run? Seeing some reflection, something coming through.
Exactly same. Of course, with the Electro Wizard, it will not be the same anymore.
Poison, getting good effect on there. Even targeting the Electro Wizard. But as we see the Graveyard coming through, Poison's gonna be down there as well to make sure it does minimal effect.
So double the poison from Ogen. Still Graveyard connecting somewhat of damage because they have the Golem down to 1600. Quite a lot of damage from that push.
So the Log getting good damage. Another Rage coming with the balloon there.
Is there anything to stop that from going directly?
Oh,
nothing.
no.
They want to trade it, but way too late of a Mega Mini right there.
Oh, 2 drops is going to be the effect of that. It's going to be down to 666 for the side of GameWith. So, wow, that Balloon Rage, that 7 Elixir combo shown very effective against the Japanese team. And OG Entis, seems like they had many strategies coming in to make sure their opponents stay on guard here.
Great read onto the Elixir of the opponent.
Yeah.
They basically knew they don't really have enough for the structure, nothing else to come out. So why don't we just drop that Rage right now and push all the way in?
Incredible.
Pretty well. 6 down to 666 there.
Really is, and it's a huge damage that they've taken now for the side of GameWith, but he's trying to summon the P.E.K.K.A. to counter the Golem coming in from OG Entis. See how far it goes, but the Poison's still doing a lot of work. See the Graveyard.
Dragon locks onto Golem, easily taken out.
We're going to see the Infernal Dragon doing work. Once again, the Balloon Rage. Now the Electro Wizard trying to make sure it doesn't get that 1 drop. 1 drop out to do it, and that's going to be the destruction coming in.
And still Infernal Dragon takes out even the P.E.K.K.A. right after. I think GameWith really got slowed by the attack, not really knowing that what if the balloon comes in again. We can't really push in too hard.
They had no answer for the Infernal Dragon, and here we see again early summon of the Golem, but really just countered again by the Infernal Dragon. What are you supposed to do when your Golem just really useless when
it's
coming
really
to
hard
the
when they want to make a push. Double poison from OGN has been really effective against the Graveyard and the push of their own.
Okay, but we might just get it 10 seconds. 429. Doesn't
everything
seem like
taken out.
Yeah, Electro Wizard just trying to finish it off to make sure they stop, but the double Dark Prince is going to stop the attack coming in from GameWith an OG and Entis coming back with their own set of a perfect streak as we see a 2-0 blowout against a Japanese team, and they see them equaling out the sets here as we see them 1-1 even in scoreline.
Yep, even against your favorite, Sean.
Hey,
I think the first game having a mistake was a big mental mental hit for them, I guess.
I agree.
And then right after, they were really lacking the defense and dropping down the P.E.K.K.A right there without any other units.
Yeah.
And you were really low on your Elixir. And OGN having, again, such a great read and having a better Elixir trade with their own poison to counter that 5 Elixir graveyard and all units coming from the bridge along with the Golem all the time. What do you do really as you're lacking your strategy to push in to do enough damage? You're never really going to connect as much damage as the opponent team. They were really lost at that moment.
Okay, now we're going to be going on to the ace match here after both teams decided that we're really not good at 1v1, but we're really good at 2v2. So now we're going to bring this back to even, says OG and Entis. Gonna see who they're going to select for this 1v1 to decide everything here. Also interesting to see who Game With selects. Are they going to play Shun? Are they going to play the first 1v1 player they played earlier in this series here? See if they can just extend that win over to him. Because that 1v1 could decide everything for these teams here as we do see the first match between Korea and Japan. Seemed like A-Wins was in control in the first set, obviously with 1v1, but 2v2 looked totally dismantled against the side of OG Nentis.
From OGN, it was for Ace, usually Q-Mills, playing twice the same day. From Game With, I think they would just continue with Sean, very likely, as the one with the mechanics 1v1, as we have to go for the players who played today. From Game With, Yuhiro, Sean, and KK.
But we saw Yuhiro pulling off the strats today and really looked strong against his opponent in that 1v1. So might just rely on today's performance and today's condition. And this guy feeling very good around now about his plays. Might just send Yuhiro, but like I said, Shun is definitely an option. Might be interesting to see how he does after a loss that didn't go against his way, but just means that that 2v2 loss, you talked about that mental strike that it does to you when you get just pummeled by the rage in the balloon in second game. Also the first game really not going your way as well. Couldn't see that. See how they do. About 7 seconds left before the player selection is over.
See who's going to be down to 0. Now they really have to show. That's not us for a second, but I think usually what happens is they have the player play again from the 1v1.
Yeah.
And even if you lose, they just bring the same player in. You end up using similar strategy, but with some changes because you think you can actually win with the same deck. Very likely from either side. At least one of the player.
Yeah. Still not getting a stand indication of who's going to be actually playing. Of course, that minute is up, so they had to make a decision now. So we'll get that notification to you guys as soon as we get it. And really interesting day of events already, as we see kind of the two strong teams coming in from both regions with Game With from Japan and OG Nentis from Korea, knowing that both teams have done pretty well in their own respective region, now coming here to clash with each other across the regions. And really an evenly sided match for both Korea and Japan. So kind of the initial question we were asking at the beginning of this broadcast was about who is stronger, Korea or Japan?
Yes.
Still not a clear answer yet as to what that
even
may lead
after
to.
the first game, it's only the first one. After maybe the end of tomorrow, I
Sure.
think we will see what teams are really standing on top of the other one. And the meta, I think we are going to see lots of similar ones. We do see lots of double princes happening all over, especially 2v2. Lots of golems, maybe some counter push as well for giant skeletons later on in the day. But I think we're kind of settling down to similar cards happening, but it's due to the mechanics, some different spells, maybe a lumberjack, maybe a lightning spell. A few of the spells that we actually did not see yet. I think they're still quite viable in 2v2 especially.
Yeah, but we're going to be back to 1v1 for this ace match to decide it all, to make sure that we know who the best players from each teams are. Might just get that presented to us right now from Game With and OG Nentis. Korea versus Japan has been a sign of interest so far. Shun is going to be on. So as you predicted, Q-Mills was correct on your prediction as well. So very much a player relied upon for the side of OG Nentis. And Shun, man, this player, when he shows what he can do, he's been quite impressive. And I just wish that, you know, regardless of whether he wins or loses, he can just kind of replicate his performance that he's shown in week 1, so we can be just starting to be impressed by him once again.
Lots of quick cycle decks. Not really too much of a beatdown. Crazy hard, heavy push from either players. So I think it really comes down to Poison. Poison is a spell that has been played so many times in this league right now. Depending on how you use it, when you use it, by using your unit to delay to get that maximum value will basically determine the win between a lot of the games here.
We're going to get the teams to select their ban cards here. It will be also important the way that that one player can maneuver their decks to make sure banning out the player that banning out the card that you're really most annoyed by, but at the same time you have to compensate for the fact that you can't use that same card in your own deck as well. That means that Q-Mills and Shun, OG and Entis endgame with respectively, has to make the right choice here. For this ban card coming for this ace match could make all the difference.
Let's take a look at the ban cards. They may actually have to change a lot of their deck. Q-Mills playing lots of minor P.E.K.K.A. with the Electro Wizard, and even Shun, he actually uses some Golem cards, but not as much as the Southeast Asian players. But depending on the ban card, here we go.
Aha! So still Q-Mills thinking that Shun is a heavy deck player, which he has been at times, but it definitely has had his moments where the lightweight chip damage has come through Shun for multiple occasions. So very flexible player, can set up his deck to his comfort. It's gonna be the Elixir Collector being banned out against a game with OG and Entis. Means that heavy decks are gonna be shallowed in the way that you can play those cards, especially anything like the Three Musketeer definitely will not be an option with the Elixir Collector banned, and just don't see that happening even with Golem being less of an option, especially with that ban coming through.
Shun, most play deck. Golem with the guard actually.
Yeah.
Even a rocket to finish off most of the time.
Very heavy.
Let's see if that continues. But without the Elixir Collector, it may not be just happening, as Q-Mills oftentimes chip damage. He would like to start that damage from the moment the game starts. And oftentimes if you go with the super heavy, you are waiting for that minute mark, and you may just lose up half of your Princess Tower HP by that time.
Take a look at what Shun decided to ban out was the Tornado. Means that he was thinking of doing something like a Golem push. He was thinking of doing really heavy artillery rush on just one lane, and Tornado can be your biggest counter to that. Kind of that same theory goes to that 2v2 matches where the Tornado is very often banned out for that same specific reason. Means that Shun, I think he initially wanted to play once again a heavy deck for this 1v1.
Look at all the games he played, of course. Along with that wins, lots of losses, but having that experience as he's almost leading the team oftentimes the ace match player. Let's see if he's able to bring that out once again. His favorite, of course, again with the Mega Minion, P.E.K.K.A, Miner, and lots of Electro Wizard, and Poison, of course, will be the target.
Suffered his first loss today, Shun. After week 1 was extreme for this guy. Being played out of his mind. Week 2, he did not play for either the 1v1 nor the 2v2. So kind of the question mark in our heads now is that the game with, is this a team to watch out for, or is it just Shun? Just that one player we've been quite excited about. Does he make all the difference? Let's see that coming through, but about a minute before we jump onto this first game here. Very exciting to see how this ace match goes, because Q-Mills talks about a couple of losses here and there, but most overall experience, and playing in this tournament for most of these players, very first time, as Clash Royale League is kind of a new establishment into the esports realms of Clash Royale, means that the more experience could give you that reward of being steadfast in the way you approach those games.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's really due to the mindset right now. They've only seen the 2v2, of course, with the information from weeks ago, from 1v1s. They kind of know the style. They do understand the decks, what they like to do, and I think they really both of the players have distinctive different styles of approaching their attacks. And Q-Mills very defensive. Shun actually quite the opposite. Super aggressive player attacking really heavy. Let's see what different type of deck that he's going to actually bring in, as the timer is about up. I think we're ready to go into the first game.
Might just get the decks underway for both of these players here. Q-Mills for OG and Entis, most experienced player, having played the most games out of all the players in that organization. Means that he's definitely going to be ready for just another game here. This time against a very tough opponent, as we know, as Shun. undefeated until today. Coming into this Korea versus Japan clash, did not have the same results. Of course, 2v2 is not the same reflection of how a player does, especially because the other player plays such a big part in the way you can win or lose the games.
Sean really preferring to play guard, so maybe just having some splash damage, even with the Baby Dragon that Kumil has been using before. Maybe just a Dark Prince, having that double Prince deck could still be in work.
Very exciting here as we see OG and Entus down on the bottom in the blue. See Shun just rotating out. Along with Kumil, feels like the log is unnecessary for this very first card being played. Giant is the choice coming from Shun as he likes a little bit heavy.
As Kumil shakes his head the moment he sees that Giant.
Yeah.
There's a Dark Prince.
Just felt like banning out the Elixir Collector means that Shun was not going to play any type of heavy card, but the Giant with a 5 Elixir summon is the least that Shun can do to make sure he brings up to his playstyle. Wow, the Giant is still summoning quite yet. Very nicely done. Ice Wizard.
Dark Prince doing good amount of work.
Yeah, Dark Prince. Is he going to get the hit on? The Ice Wizard just going to be charging him away. Of course, that's going to be good enough to kill him off. So Kumil very relieved to get that defensive strats on. Working off for that very first time.
But not enough. He has dropped a lot more, as you can see from the bar, top and the bottom.
Elixir.
About 2.5 Elixir difference between these players.
Giant push once again, coming from Shun. What is he going to do with this? And said, the lack of elixirs there could mean all the difference. As you see him ahead. Prince just going to make sure that Giant is going to be pushed a little bit forward. Electro Wizard, very nicely done. You get the Dark Prince immobile in the way that he can just charge towards the defense there.
Prince instead,
oh.
so guard super effective, but Giant does get a single hit onto that tower. It will be some, and even a hit from Prince.
Okay, one hit for the Prince. It wasn't a charge, but it does get one lance.
I believe the Mega Minion also did damage.
Yeah, Mega Minion did 1 damage. So 1 damage from both. Of course, it would have been more different if Prince got the charge on, but was a short distance that he had to cover. So, like I said, still efficient with 1656. Now down from Kumil.
The fact that Shun actually dropped down all the Prince and the single target damage, lots of units, guard was very expected to happen from Kumil. He was expecting that, and you dropping down all the spells to make sure you connect the damage directly to the towers. That's been just absolutely beautiful in that case.
Okay, so the Dark Prince, the double Prince now coming in. Would do a lot of damage to the
this
guards
poison
and the poison.
Is beautiful from Shun, doing massive damage.
Gonna stop the defense for now, but it's not gonna lead to him continuing on his offense. But like I said, still a little bit ahead in the elixir count. Could see him just a little bit on a rush here, as we used to see. Still 1656 down for the side of Kumil.
Can we really find the perfect solution against that Giant who's been pushing all the way slowly but steady?
Okay, we see the law coming through. Double Prince now trying to get on the front line.
Even before the Giant.
Yeah, ahead of the Giant.
Push. Guards coming down with the log is too good to take them all out. And the push continues from Shun.
Oh, the Giant is pushing. Is he going to get one punch on? One punch does come through. Second punch does not. We're going to see the Mega Minion still pushing hard here. We see the Electro Wizard really being nullified here by the Ice Wizard and the Dark Prince. We're going to see the Graveyard as the last card to be summoned for the side of Kumil, but it's going to be countered right away by the poison coming for the side of Shun.
But even with that, Shun was leading about 2.5 still with the elixir. So Giant directly placed on the bridge, pushing all the way in with the log, takes out everything on the ground.
One punch and the second punch, the Dark Prince. Third punch coming from the Giant. The fourth does not come through, but still the last one will. And Shun does get that in the end ahead of the elixir for the entirety of the game after that first push. Meant that he was going to get chip damage over time, and eventually it came to a point where Kumil could not stop the defense.
That's the thing, Kumil, the moment he saw that Giant being dropped onto the arena, he shook his head saying, I got nothing to actually defend pretty well against this card. What do I actually do?
Kumil has never really had a big offensive push towards his opponent, like one time in the entire game. That is the kind of the domination we saw once again from Shun, just making sure that his opponent reacts to his offense coming through, but really not allowing his opponent to make that same type of offensive push on the other side.
It was really hard because he was lower in Elixir ever since the first Giant push from Shun. And again, he couldn't really connect in time. Poison not really connecting with the tower all the time.
Yeah.
It was off by a pixel oftentimes because his units were not quick enough being deployed because he was lower in elixir in that case. Having worst case scenario against that giant deck was pretty hard counter by the cards that he had. Not really of an Inferno Dragon, anything over damage. Didn't really have his own Prince to actually do the damage also.
Look at Shun, very comfortable there, as you can see from his expression. His tower was still around 1500 when he won the game. Still very dominant in the way that he won out that game one. So this is kind of a reminiscence of what we saw from Shun in this week one. Kind of the reason why we got excited all together for this player back in week 3, and seems like he's going to be showing us what he's made of once again. Could see the Japanese commentator doing that.
Entertaining.
Yeah, Simon and I did that. Simon and I did that, you know, in our moments as well. So very exciting. Really exciting to see once again Shun kind of showing up and reminding us that he's one of the best players in Japan.
One more game, and game will take the first set and the match win for Japan actually.
Yep. You're gonna see the skeleton just being put out in rotation against Shun here. Shun just gonna use a zap to make sure knocks one of the skeleton out, in addition to doing just a little bit chip damage onto his opponent's tower.
Just for a cycle.
Yep.
With the Elixir Collector ban, I think both of them looking for that massive push at the minute mark, or right before that. You should be deploying some of your cards right before that minute mark. So once you hit that double Elixir time, you can have your massive push.
Just feel like the way Shun is so good at handling this heavy artillery, making these large pushes on one side. Feel that Q Mills has to be careful in the way he approaches it, because him not playing along the cards as well, he's just literally calling the truce right now that we're going to just wait it out until that 1 minute mark before the double elixir goes on. That's the moment that both of these players are going to just try to make an all-in effort. It just feels like Shun has done the better parts of that so far in this series.
I think it also comes to the study. Q-Mill's not really using that Inferno Dragon as much compared to all the players. They basically only use it once, and that was it. Maybe just having that extra information to build your deck against him, to counter, to kind of read what cards he likes to play, what cards he does not like to play, and you can kind of build a deck around to have the counter against what he doesn't really like to play. Then I think Shun really got it down to game 1 if that was 100% intended with the deck he had.
Exactly, and makes it a little bit difficult for Q-Mills, because that just means that he's not going to have to see the same results coming through. And giant summon once again for Shun. Gonna need summoned by the P.E.K.K.A here.
Oh,
double Prince on the right side. How is he going to counter for this one? See the one Prince not doing it. The first Prince does not going to be going as well, but the skeleton just trying to stop it in time. But 12:33 on the books means that the second Prince that came through, the normal Prince, I should say, has done a lot of damage now.
Even charge damage and 2 more, I believe, even before the skeletons. I mean, Outrider going directly. You get taken out. Okay, gets 1 hit, but not enough compared to down to 1200 on the right side.
Great aggro coming from Shun there. There's no way the P.E.K.K.A was going to reach the tower in time, and really about already a big lead now gained for Shun just on that Prince push in. Really unexpected there. The Hog Rider being tried once again. Double Prince now just trying to stop them in this tracks here. Very nicely done, and the Hog Rider gonna get minimal damage. 1664. The Double Prince still on the charge. The Skeleton just gonna stopping it through. The P.E.K.K.A summoned that for defense more than anything. Giant now on the right without the P.E.K.K.A. How he's gonna stop this run coming through. Electro Wizard now trying to just finish him off.
Shun does not have the most elixir right now, so it won't be super massive push, but Giant going directly. That's going to be landing 1 hit.
Oh, second hit does not come through, and that's gonna be him. Feeling satisfied, about 798 in the books here. But right side, it's not gonna be too much of a worry for Shun, as his tower was nearly full when it first began.
Really onto the push. Hog Rider even dropped. Prince landing a hit onto Hog Rider. Nicely done.
Very nicely by Shun, and making sure that Prince hits the Hog Rider more than the Iso Golem, and that's gonna be looking good now.
These double Princes are mostly for distraction. Shun is looking for the other lane, actually.
6:55. 2 minutes left now for overtime, and can he get damage onto one of these towers? That's all he needs. He doesn't really need to get both towers here, just one of the 2 towers that are both extremely low.
But actually doing tons of damage to the tower.
271 down to 244 now. So, all in for Q Mills. Onto the left side.
Also for Sean, does he really want to go all in attack onto the other lane?
Oh, but it's going to be important here. Stopping out the tracks. The Ice Golem taking away the aggro.
May actually help, but Poison was already placed.
Okay, 107, 80, 53, and the Poison, the aggro is not going to be making sure that Sean does not get that charge damage. So while he was very much chipped away on both sides for Q Mills, he made sure he went all in on that left side and still got the job done in the end. Very nice aggro away from the Poison. Once again with the skeleton, making sure he bought enough time for the Poison to that slow damage to win the game here.
Great placements coming out from Q Mills. And also, he was spamming. Dropping down everything because he knew that if he gives 0.1 second more for Sean to actually think about the attack onto the other lane, then he can't really defend.
Yeah.
Because he was losing in that HP war. And so he was spamming on the left lane, making sure Sean uses everything in the defensive way so he can actually have his own push, but never have to deal with the other lane. Having just traded all the time, getting the massive value, and Hog Rider seems to be the way to go right now. Without the tornado.
I agree. The tornado kind of excluding the Hog Rider usually because it just pushes it down to the King's Tower and wakes it up, and then after that the later pushes with the Hog Rider becomes impossible with the King's Tower doing the tower damage onto the beast as well. But means that the Hog Rider has not been really answered for from Shun. It could be important in the way that we approach this Game 3, the last game to decide it all for the series between Korea and Japan, with OG and Entus now looking to make a comeback after they lost their first set, won the second set in 2v2. In this ace match, they lost their first game against Shun, but Q Mills finding it back in Game 2 with that Hog Rider run, trying to do that same thing and maybe in Game 3 to take it all together.
Yeah, even the P.E.K.K.A, really nice tool to actually go against the Giant. The final game between Q Mills and Shun.
Really exciting plays here coming from both players, and we thought that Shun winning out that Game 1 in a decisive manner could meant then Q Mills is going to have it a little bit difficult. Make sure he recovers that in Game 2, but he showed just that. The way he very, very smart win out that second game.
Again, a Poison. I think it's a similar deck to what Yu Hero actually had in game number 1 with Royal Ghost and the Goblin Hut.
Yep. Seen the P.E.K.K.A summon preemptively for the side of Q Mills. Reacted with Shun summoning his own P.E.K.K.A. See with these little goblins making it a little bit tough. You see the P.E.K.K.A being slowed down by the Electro Wizard. Not even get to. Did he get one hit onto
just
the golem?
One, yeah. Electro Wizard cancels the second one.
Okay.
So it was actually pretty well handled by Shun there.
Miner
massive value.
taking away the aggro from the Royal Ghost.
Poison is going to hurt the
P.E.K.K.A,
Electro Wizard, but
P.E.K.K.A gonna get that push.
One.
And he gonna get one, and the
Two.
second one, and the third one might even come through. And that's gonna be the first tower destroyed immediately. And the perfect use of that miner to get the Royal Ghost beat the aggro away from him. And that was the P.E.K.K.A on the go button, taking that tower immediately on that one push.
See, what does Kumu have right down on the
Oh
screen?
my goodness.
The only thing he can really use to defend against the P.E.K.K.A is an Ice Spirit. Single hit. That's it, basically. He doesn't have anything like the guard, anything like a Goblin Gang to really delay the attack onto a single target.
Does have one question mark, meaning that that might be the final counter to the P.E.K.K.A, but if he did, I think he would just use it on that last push.
Electro Wizard came in the cycle
okay.
now, I think was used before. And also he had to use the Poison instead because there were 3 units crossing that bridge at the same time. Poison, was that the right one? I think yes for the time being, because he was going to use and basically waste the unit being dropped down, but chopped by the P.E.K.K.A right after.
We know exactly how little damage the Poison does to the P.E.K.K.A. We know how ineffective that is, and you need a different counter to the P.E.K.K.A rushing in. Now we're going to see the P.E.K.K.A versus P.E.K.K.A on the same side here. Once again, the Royal Ghost finding it very easy to knock off the Miner being coming on the left side, so not much in danger. We're still going to see. Sure.
So again, Poison, the same way. Can you really stop the P.E.K.K.A? Even the Miner connects. This may actually be another tower.
Another tower. The Miner with the Mega Minion. The Miner just trying to buy some time here, just picking the aggro away, but still might have enough time to put that one swipe. One swipe.
Ice Spirit barely stopped that from going down. 322.
Okay,
still 14
the
seconds.
Miner.
He's so far away in this game right now.
194 down to 110 with that log. And even the Poison's going to finish up the second tower. No way back. 5 seconds left. And Shun, an absolute dominant performance with the P.E.K.K.A that Q-Mills had no counter to. And what a play coming in for the Japanese player. The high fives all around as Game Win gets a very, very satisfying first win against the Korean team.
Oh man, that Q-Mills.
Amazing.
He was basically countered many times.
Incredibly countered. And that was something that we kind of, the bright light that Shun has shown on this light. And that just rhymes, doesn't it? Just Shun shining the light upon the world. And we saw that in week 1. This is the reason why I got so excited for this player. And the way he wins games, it's not close wins. It's about dominant performance that your opponent has no reaction to. And we see it again against this Q-Mills player.
I think it's mostly due to his studies onto the opponent.
Amazing.
What they don't like to play Q-Mills, never having that Inferno Dragon today against the Giant, against the P.E.K.K.A, which could have been amazing for the delay. Of course, there was an Electro Wizard also, but better than not having that one tool you actually need as a defensive tool.
And look how he summons the Royal Ghost just right there as soon as the Miner is being summoned by Q-Mills. No threat whatsoever to that left tower for Shun there.
Poison was not enough. Totally not enough. Did some damage, but cannot stop the P.E.K.K.A. And we know how that feels.
We know in a normal game.
Exactly know how that feels. There's a P.E.K.K.A coming directly to the tower.
Poison does not work.
You only have a spell, maybe a few units. You can drop down a Miner, maybe Royal Ghost, but it's going to get taken out with few shots.
We know that P.E.K.K.A has such great defensive stats that really no spell is highly effective against P.E.K.K.A. Maybe the Lightning, maybe Graveyard, but come on, I mean, talking about units, eventually it is the units that destroys it, but really about small measly units that does damage over time. Those are the ones that destroy it, but we're going to get the interviews here, see what they hear.
いや勝利しましたね。
いやめちゃくちゃ嬉しいですね。
いやこの韓国との一戦。
We're super glad to have a win today.
そうですね。まあ相も変わらずなんで。
Having the first win against Korea, how does it feel?
各選手の強みを生かしてどの番が来てもいいようにあらゆる手を考えていたっていうのが一番勝因かなと思っております。
そしてアマテラさんこういう後ろから応援している姿ってなんかもっとこう勝ってくれっていう思いがね僕らから見ても伝わってきたんですけれどもどんな感じで見てました？
初戦は絶対負けたくないですし、本当に勝ってくれてすごい良かったと思います。
And I know you felt lots of curious to actually bring the win all the way going to the final game. How do you think about the games?
合宿もそうですけど、日頃から夜通話したりしてずっと練習したんで本当に良かったです。
しっかり対策できたと。はい、ありがとうございます。そしてシュン選手最後の一戦もちろん2対2の相手の強さというのはあったと思うんですけども、paid off tonight。やっぱ
りゆえひろさんが最初の1対1勝ってくれて、次勝てば勝てるっていう場面だったのにストレートで負けてしまってだいぶ気持ちもへこんでたんですけど、最後しっかり自分が勝利を取れてよかったです。
デッキの選択っていうのは何かこう想像と違うもの相手ありました？
そうですね、やっぱり
We lost 2v2, but having Yuhiro really coming on top of 1v1, he brought the win and we went all the way, and I think he helped a lot in tonight's match.
ちょっと苦戦を強いられましたね。
なるほど、ありがとうございます。そしてユイヒロ選手
ありがとうございます。
なんとか1戦目取ったのはこうチームの勇気にもなったと思うんですけど、1戦目いかがでした？
1戦目相手が多分スケラで来ると思ってたので
First victory tonight is really becoming another sense of hope for the team.
I agree. And I think instead, winning that 1v1 led them to the belief that they can win another 1v1. It was important for these guys.
The first one,
of course. 結構苦しかったと思うんですけども、相手の技ってどういうところにありました？
2対2負けちゃったんですけど、やっぱちょっと相手の自分たちがやりないときを完全に発生させられて逆サイバールンされたんで、あそこの読み負けですね。
でもこう3本目、シュン選手が取ってもらって、
I think the ones we lost in predictions, most likely in reading their cards. But oftentimes that is the case.
Definitely the counters weren't there for game with on that game too.
今後の抱負をちょっと伺いたいんですけども。
そうですね。
Let's hear about the final ones going into the later matches.
韓国で3勝0敗のキングゾーンさんと当たるので、そこを勝って4勝1敗で 今週は抜けたいと思ってます。
ありがとうございます。それでは勝利をしたゲームウィズの皆さんでした。
Kingzone on Sunday they actually want to win that 3-0. Of course, you just have to finish 2-0.
More especially because they know that Kingzone is still the strongest team in Korea. They want to get that priority, make sure they're the best Japanese team to defeat the strongest team in Korea.
Kingzone has 3-0 right now.
I agree.
Match score. So, and even Southeast Asian, lots of the players have been picking that team as the strongest team. You actually have a team that,
other than Kingzone, that you think is a rival?
もう全部発揮できるようなデッキの組み方をしているので、あえてその新しいことに挑戦するっていうことはあまりしていないっていうのが一つ要因かなと思います。まあ
本当に地道に
no comment specifically towards one team, but we'll try to do our best against every single team.
Not trying to pinpoint here, just trying to make sure they get the wins over and over again. It's a very good attitude coming from Game With.
やつはもうすぐさま試して、もうそれで良かったらすぐ取り入れると。まあやっぱ若さがあるので吸収率は高いなっていうところは一つの強みでもあるかなと。
We'll do maximum practice to deal with against any of the new cards, new decks that may come out over the weekend.
You know, like the biggest struggle they had was the kind of unexpected decks, especially with the Hog Rider coming through, and was making it very difficult for Game With to cover back against OG and Entus, but really just reactiveness and their adaptation to different situations made this team great in week 1. Now they're back in week 3, showing us the greatness of what Game With can be, and Shun just played out of his mind once again. That very fitting for that ace match that he represents.
Yeah, not just Shun, and all the players and also the coach, the words, the interview that they had, you could see their spirit, how serious they are into the match. Of course, we are only one match into tonight.
We're going to get short to a break. After that break, we're going to be back with the second series to continue on our clash between Korea and Japan. We're going to be on the short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys, to Clash Royale League Asia. We're back with the second series already underway to make sure that the first round, the excitement that it brought to us, kind of the first indication of Korea versus Japan was an exciting venture, and we're getting ready to get into the second one here.
Yep, only 3 matches available. Sadly, guys, we're through the first one. Second one will be between OPGG Skeleton, which will be coming up right now, and against Ponos. Should be an exciting one between these two teams. OPGG Skeleton, of course, with 2-1, standing in 3rd place very nicely, securing themselves a lot of win. Actually, Dabong never really in play yet, but from what we see here, I think he's going to be playing tonight.
Okay, seems like he's on the roster with Dabong. Chan also there in the roster as well. See OPGG Skeleton, see how they do. Say a 2-1 record, very nicely done for them to come into this conference division. Coming against Pono Sports, a team that recently started to shine a light of what they can possibly do. As they've shown that they're not definitely a weak team. It has been shown that they can do what it takes to get the victories they need against even the stronger teams here in Japan, but could see them going up against these Korean players and seemingly putting a lot of confidence in the way they approach their strategies.
Ponos has lots of wins, of course. They like to play lots of air units compared to the other teams. It'll be interesting. Of course, we do have Dabong TV for the first time. No information whatsoever from this player.
Dabong versus Tengod here from Pono Sport. Could mean that Korea versus Japan, the first kind of prediction into going this match. Could be a little bit unknown in the way that we don't have many information of Dabong, but should see very interesting prospects of what this player is made of, and we'll start to get an indication, of what this player can do on this stage. It's gonna be against the Japanese players here.
Tengod did play only one before, so it's a different story, but a player. This was what we were kind of predicting for the first 2 weeks. But if there's a player that has never played before, that comes out in week 3, week 4, week 5, when there's comes to a time against like really strong team, when you need him, he will be out there with no information basically whatsoever, and you have all your information to counter the opponent. This is exactly what we're seeing right now.
Sure, and for Dabong, individually, this is going to be his debut in Clash Royale League, technically, and it's going to be on foreign soil. It's not even going to be on his home ground in Korea. It's going to be in Japan, in the studios there. Seeing on the screen, looking seemingly nervous, understandable. Obviously, his first game as a player is to play against this Japanese players. Let's see him against Tengod, see how he does. Of course, we got a good indication of Tengod. Has been mixed results, obviously, here and there, but most likely has been to a positive direction where his player records have led so far.
As well, Tengod has been banning lots of elixir collectors. Of course, no info from Dabong TV yet. We see lots of elixir collectors being banned from Japanese players. Same for Game With, previous match, and also Ponos may just continue their ban as, look at that, Dabong TV just calming himself down, keep calm, play Clash Royale.
Seems quite nervous though. Can be understood in the way that it is your first game to be played here, and if you're gonna be on camera, on this big stage and playing against the player you know very little about. Of course, they did their lot of preparation. They did their in the way of studying through to their opponents to make sure they are ready to strategize against their opponents in here with Pono Sports. But with OPGG Skeleton, they've had good results so far with the other 3 players most likely. And now coming into week 3, you could see how they do, starting off with this rather unknown player we know as Dabong.
Yep, we all know how that feels once you have to make the presentation by yourself. It seems like every single eye is on you, that spotlight is on you. That's the time you really goes. But once you are walking up there, you start to feel it that you never felt before, but you really feel that different. And it's on stage, and you have to be representing the team. There's a responsibility that what you have to really show in front of the other players, of course. And even on a foreign soil, as you mentioned, it's unfamiliar settings for him, and But you do have the advantage of the opponent having lack of information. But I think Sean, in match number 1, I think he played with that information, just knowing that the opponent Cumulus not liking to play that Inferno Dragon. Even from last year, he never really liked to play that card. So having the Giant and P.E.K.K.A, the heavy ones to push in, worked perfectly. I think that's why he was actually super dominant in the Ace match, Game 1 and Game 3. May just be a similar thing when you have the extra bit of information, when you can actually build your deck around those information. I think it will come to the time over the weeks what they really like to play, what they don't really like to play, make the deck against it. And let's try to counter that in a way. I think that will be the best strategy going forward for a lot of these teams.
And first scenario for Dabong is that, you're coming off a loss that OG Entus just could not beat the game with team, and now in the bigger picture of things, it's not just about Pono Sport. It's not just about Pono Sport versus OPG Skeleton. It's about Japan versus Korea, Korea versus Japan. And that's the bigger picture of things, isn't it? And you're just talking about the regional clashes between especially important regions like Korea and Japan, kind of two regions who have been at rivalry for multiple events in the past and not just Clash Royale. So coming in here, they know the importance of this, and knowing that OG has just lost the game against the game with team, they now have a responsibility, an extra one, to make sure they make it even in the making scoreline, especially for Korea and Japan, to make sure they keep that pride on the line as well.
Oh, OPGG may actually like it a little bit because OG Entus was going to be their rival anyhow in that region. Because once you are on the first place from the region, you go directly to the playoff and postseason. And of course, there will be some number differences, and depending on where you're at, you may just go straight to the postseason play, or all the way to the finals actually if you're the number 1 from the region. But in this case, maybe they're happy about it actually because they lost it. Well, it's their time to actually go on top, because there's that King's on Dragon X right on top. They have 2-1 right now, and with that win they can actually bounce up to 3-1, maybe getting a chance to catch up to King's on Dragon X from Korea.
I agree. And from the other side, we saw Pono Sports having done very well in this week 2. Let's see the first bands coming through. Poison and the Three Musketeers. Interesting band coming in from the Japanese side. Also going to see the Poison band coming in from Dabong. Of course, a player with very little information of what to expect from him in today's games. Means that this 3 minute they have in order to pick up the decks here. Let's see the OPG Skeleton. The players aren't even standing up. Now they're standing up to make sure they help out the selection of the decks here.
Tenga banning Three Musketeers.
Yeah.
Of course, oftentimes when we first started the first week, when you have lack of information, we had that card banned several times, because once you are lost, once the opponent is trying to make a lot of push, because you can pair that up with basically anything. It's really a hard one to defend against, so you just want to get that out of the way. That's what Tengat is thinking with Dabong with Poison Spell ban, and instead of the Tornado actually. So that will be available. Lots of the charging ones like the Hog Rider, Miner may not be safe, may just end up activating the King Tower. So you always, in this case, when those spells are available, you always have to be thinking where you want to place those and how you want to approach your attack.
And to me, just the Poison ban indicates that Dabong really wants to play a lightweight deck.
Yes.
Where all these lightweight units will not be wiped right away by the poison and damage over time. Of course, the Tornado ban kind of shows a different story where heavy decks are usually like to be used, because you don't want to be countered by a heavy rush putting all the way through and just make sure that Tornado and the Rocket or whatever, the Executioner in combination of that could destroy your rush in a hole. But could see the little information that we do have that he likes using Bat, Zap, and also the Ice Spirit, means that he's the lightweight of the most lightweight.
Dabong from the qualifiers though, he has been using lots of Elixir Collector, very heavy decks. So maybe that's what Tenga was partially thinking.
Okay.
But lack of information, of course, we do not know what exactly he will be. He actually used lots of charging ones, even with the Battle Ram. He used 3 times within the tryout matches. That's not too long ago, only 3 weekends ago.
Sure. Still do have 1 minute left for both of these players to finish up compiling their decks, make sure they are ready to get to this game 1 here. Really exciting to see. After that loss coming from OG Entus, can OPG Skeleton push right back to make sure they get a win for Korea, because it's been about Korea versus Japan for this very first day of the conference division. means that right now with game width on the winning end of things, could mean that LPG Skeleton really wants to get that one game back to make sure they bring back the win over to Korea.
Yeah, Ponos, they are also, of course, taking their chance. And against Dabong TV, maybe possible. Still some left to build their deck. I'm pretty sure Poison was not really expected. Of course, less expected compared to the other spell cards or like Elixir Collector or maybe even the Giant or Golem. Sometimes P.E.K.K.A coming out. But very different bans coming out from either side. Tengad also taking out 3 Musketeer. Has been used in qualifiers few times, only 2 out of the 8 games. Not too many, but still enough to affect maybe just change one of the deck maybe he was holding at the time.
Yeah, and it's really important to see, you know, what we're going to get is the indication of all these players here. Of course, we saw a little bit of Tengad and know what to expect from him, but Dabong, what is he made out of? What is he made of? And what is he going to do to make sure he brings the right type of results for his team? And could really get to see what he can do. It's going to be the important thing to look at here. I think the players are getting ready, getting their headsets on, starting on their game. You can see the first indication of Dabong versus Ponos here with Tengad. See how they do.
The band stay for the entire set between these two. First 1v1.
The game begins here. You can see the Korean side always on the bottom today. Just the bottom lane, if you just to make sure no one's confused on that. On the blue side for Dabong TV.
Archers.
You can see Tengad on the top here on the red side. Still seeing very minimal spawns. Working around the cycle with the rotation.
Maybe fuse Expo deck from Tengad. Very likely with those combinations now.
Oh, even the Tesla. Just another indicator. No, that's the perfect combo.
There we go, Expo. Right after the D-Prince drops down. Infernal Dragon does lock into the Expo though.
Yeah. Still, Expo doing a little bit of damage. Down to 1878.
Right after the log. A spell bait. And then the barrel.
Okay, we're actually going to see the Goblin Barrel not being counted for in 1019.
Because you know the spell Expo deck. This deck has been used by thousands, maybe millions of players in the world. And you kind of know exactly what spells that he's been holding. Log was dropped down right before to take out that Goblin Gang. So perfect time to throw that barrel, doing massive amount of damage down to 1,000 damage.
Getting a Tesla down once again, just to defend out against the Princess. Make sure the annoying chip damage is not being taken. 1019 down for the side of Tengad. Has to be a little bit careful in the way he approaches the game. The Dark Prince is still rushing in. Now the Goblin Barrel is going to be countered this time with the log.
Although the log doing some... Actually did quite a lot of damage to the left top Princess Tower of Tengad. Not really finding the perfect way of defending.
Just caught away defending most of these cases here. As long as this Expo is counted for the side of Dabong TV.
Usually you do want to place your Tesla nearby, so you do have the maximum defense. This Expo just does not catch any direct damage here.
Of course, he wants to stay safe on the other side as well. I should talk about the Expo Tesla combo. As you see right now.
Comes down now, but Infernal already locked in. Ice stopping some damage.
There's no answer for the Infernal Dragon. It's just gonna knock out.
Skeleton came second too late, 0.1 second too late to actually have that damage from Infernal Dragon.
Feels like there's a direct answer, but the log is gonna be used on the left side. He's not gonna have it. Just has to use a fireball. So overkill right there, coming in from Tengad.
Yeah, massive value from that barrel.
Yep. So right now you see the Infernal Dragon really not having a direct answer to the Infernal Dragon. Actually, we're gonna see trying to chip away as much as they can. Tesla's going to be brought down as well with the fireball. 548 on the tower here. Going to bring that down initially, but what we're going to see is Expo here.
Does have the log to take it out. So Expo actually locks onto the second target, D-Prince. But Tesla is now available. It's a good time, but fireball and a few more damage onto that tower will just be GG, but locks onto the tower now.
Okay, going to trip it down just a little bit, down to 1,000. Going to get it down. The log will not be available, so the Archer and the Skeleton will have to do. Luckily, that second hit coming from the Goblin does not connect. You can actually see the Infernal Dragon not available this time around for Dabong. How can he defend against the Expo here? 47. Should have one more spell, that all to do it. We're going to see that last card being able to work out. The log is not available. It's a one swipe coming in for the Goblin. He stops all of them, and wow! That Goblin Barrel does not connect. He summons out the Ice Spirit on the left side. The Skeletons on the right.
Perfect.
Stops all 3 Goblins for taking 1 hit. 1 hit would have done that 47 just any day of the night.
That's the
wonderful.
Thing. You think you won the game.
Wow.
You think you won the game. Just 1 hit from the barrel. Very likely.
47.
Already been down. Fireball. Very heavy to use. If you want to have that trade, might as well just do it. But
oh my God.
Dabong just after throwing that barrel, he thought, I won this game. There's no way of losing. There was a way.
Oh my goodness. The log, he saw Tengod use the log, so obviously Goblin Barrel. At least 1 hit out of the 3 Goblin, for God's sakes. None came through with the Ice Spirit on the left and the Skeletons on the right. Got the aggro away from both, all 3 of the Goblins, and what a perfect defense coming from Tengod there. Incredible in the way that he just manipulated that 47 HP on his tower to make sure it buys enough time for the Expo to finish him off.
I think it was just lack of focus from Dabong, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I agree.
At the very end, because the Expo was going to lock onto the tower, I believe he had some elixirs to actually have maybe an Ice Golem, maybe the Deep Prince to be dropped right before. Maybe he just thought he just won the game. Even,
oh my goodness.
Even Fireball could have been enough, but not in time. Expo was the big problem. He actually used a Fireball directly to the tower, not really catching the Expo or the Tesla. If it was used to bring those 2 structures down, I think he could have done a lot more damage in that turn, but he was trying to chip it down with the spell damage. I think that was the initial mistake right before. And then right after that barrel it was not a mistake, a super play from Tengod right there.
Super play indeed, and I was just about to give up on the side of Tengod. Obviously, that Goblin Barrel, after that log came through, obviously a win for Dabong. And we thought that was the end of the story, but I didn't think he was going to pull that off. Amazing play. So after that win now, Tengod still up at top. Trying to make sure he does numbers. On to Dabong once again after a very nice win. First game. Definitely could have went the other way.
It is with the Battle Ram, the charge deck that he has played in the tryouts. Yes.
Yep. Dark Prince on the left though. And he aggroed away by the Giant. And see the Zap kind of just countered for the Infernal Dragon, but really not going to get any other defense on. The Mega Minion just trying to finish him off. The Dark Prince coming in from Tengod. Can he get the charge in? Ice Golem just strolling it away.
Not in this case. Giant is available, but Dabong does have the charge.
Yeah, 1 charge does come through away. The 2nd hit comes through. 3rd hit comes in, dude. That's taking a lot of tanks before it does 3 total damage. 3 total strikes for the side of Tengod on that Dark Prince on the right.
Dabong did lose a big value onto his own Battle Ram, was basically taken down. Not connected to the tower, of course, but not even getting close to it at all.
Goblin Hut on the left here. The side of Dabong. And summon the Mega Minion from Tengod. Make sure all those pesky goblins are taken care of with each hit. See the Part Prince and Dark Prince coming from top and bottom. See the help coming from the Giant as well. You see the Infernal Dragon targeting down the Prince more than anything. You can see the Lecture Wizard stopping down the Infernal Dragon. So Infernal Dragon not being much of a use here.
But still a great way of defending and delaying of attacking because he had the hut available.
Yeah. See the Ice Golem splitting that once again. Goblin Hut this time on the right side, so more of a defensive Goblin Hut this time.
Because his own tower is down onto the right side, it's better to actually attack on the same lane for Dabong. This time locks onto the Giant directly. Infernal Dragon stopping that attack. Nice Fireball to backstab.
Oh, the Fireball and the Zap. Make sure that Lecture Wizard goes down for Tengod. Means that Dabong is going to have that Infernal Dragon to the maximum potential. I wonder if he has any other defense. This is Infernal Dragon coming in.
Zap to delay. Prince gets the damage onto Dark Prince at all. So, and Infernal was taking the arrow damage from the Prince's tower from the beginning.
Now look at this Bandit here. It's going to just make it rush in. Just going to have it charge towards the Dark Prince. And knock out the Bandit with the log. Taking care of most of the Spear Goblins here, but you see 2 huts for the side of Dabong. Gonna make it difficult for Tengod to make sure he reacts to this.
Pitches from both sides. Battle Ram, of course, should be stopped right on top.
You see the Prince now stopping his tracks. The Dark Prince just trying to charge in. One Barbarian coming from the Battle Ram does a little bit of damage, but nothing too significant.
Only one compared to the damage. And Bandit actually surprisingly having some great offensive move as taking out the shield at least from Dark Prince every single time.
So the log is being very useful here for the side of Tengod. Make sure those Spirit Goblins do not have any effect the way the games are running.
But so many huts being placed up on because there's only a Zap and Log from Tengod to take those structures out with the damage.
Okay, we're going to see the Battle Ram. It's still not going to get the charge in with the Spirit Goblins on the right, along with the Dark Prince and the Infernal Dragon. Infernal Dragon.
But there's an Electro Wizard perfectly from Tengod.
He had just amount of a lot of elixirs to work that in. Just making sure that his defense strats are still on. Really an evenly matched fight here between both Tengod and Tabong. Unlike last time, the Electro Wizard still doing split damage into that right tower, getting down to 1266. Still, no one really under threat so far. Let's take a huge push by the team. Could be the difference here. You see the Dark Prince heading in with the Giant. The Infernal Dragon being the answer.
Not relieving state, even has to use the Zap. Great spells landing on by both sides. But can the Prince get one hit?
One hit. Gets one hit, so what difference will that make as we do have 1 minute and 15 seconds left?
Tabong still says that's okay, was expected, and I'm going to summon everything to the left lane instead.
Okay, he doesn't have the Infernal Dragon now, it's going to be gone. How can he react to this
everything put
Giant
into the left lane, the Battle Ram is going towards it, but the Giant push is actually massive.
Even that log, making sure the Battle Ram does not connect. The charge comes in, does about 500 damage, but it's going to be taken care of. By the side, the Giant gets one punch in on the right side, as you can see. The Bandit's still right there. He's going to charge onto the tower. See, the right tower is not the biggest threat for Tengod here. It's mostly about defending his left tower while attacking the right.
Prince just gets stopped by
Prince
destroyed right after.
The punch will come in, and that one last one will come through, and Tengod does a very nice job of defending his left side while putting the pressure onto his opponent's right tower. And for the Japanese team here, Pono Sports gets another win and feeling very good about this comparison now. Korea versus Japan so far has been heavily towards the Japanese side so far.
Yeah, Pono Sports is having a great massive, and of course there's last mistake. I believe he didn't really have anything to defend perfectly.
Yeah.
And Goblin Hunt was placed and blew up instantly.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, Prince charging in, and again, you are trying to make something happen. A single unit or structure against that charge, and also the Giant.
Yeah.
You can't really stop that too much.
Giant taking up soak of the damage and trying to make sure that Infernal Dragon was the one to knock out the Giant, but the Infernal Dragon was distracted by so many things with the Zap coming through, with the Electro Wizard doing shocks in the back, and you know what that means when the Infernal Dragon can't knock down the Giant. Eventually your tower is going to fall, and that happened once again to Tabong. Obviously his debut coming in from OPG the Skeleton, but does not end in a success, and it's going to go down into a 0-2 loss for him.
Yeah, for now, but we are moving on to 2v2 soon, and let's see how strong Ponos can come up on top again. If they bring this win, it will be a 2-0 set score. Could be a match going to Japan once again as we get ready to 2v2. Here we do have the players for 2v2.
Someone in Uchan for the side of OPG Skeleton with Raiki Jones and Mikambuya for the side of Pono Sports. Of course, the teams have done well in their own respective regions, but now it's the clash. It's the clash of the regions, as one could say. Really important for both regions to have a strong statement in this very much the opening day of the conference division. We already saw game width for the team from Japan putting numbers onto OG and Entis, making them look comparatively weaker. And we could see that once again as Pono Sports gets a handed win on the 1v1. 2-0 blowout once again. If this 2v2 goes the same way that we saw in the 1v1, could see that Japan, greater than Korea, might be a statement here.
Yep, not just in 1v1, but may just end up being everything as 2v2 is falling in their hands also slightly. Of course, could be a different story for these teams. Uchan did play lots of 2v2s, 8 games of 2v2. I believe that may actually be the most. He played in all the 2v2 games from OPGG Skeletons.
It just means that he's had a lot of wins, but also had lots of losses as well. That's how you play 8 games in total out of 2 weeks of plays, and you know that when you're in the situation where you, of course, you value the experience coming in, but 2v2 really has been about, you know, how can the 2 players communicate with each other to bring the best type of results. I've been going towards game with first side of Japan. Will Pono Sports get a similar result? You can see the bans coming through. Tornado, obviously top priority still.
Very expected, of course.
Very much, and we usually like to see just one other ban other than Tornado, but usually the priority is so high that you're going to see both teams making sure that Tornado's out of the game.
And of course, it's tricking us when we see the ban. It seems like we're getting a legendary card, but we do see the legendary spin, but the cards actually does not end up as a legendary card all the time.
Just
Tornado maybe stronger than a legendary even after the nerf.
Especially with the 2v2. That nerf that really doesn't matter. You're just talking about the damage is not why people use a Tornado, obviously. It's just to draw all the units in, and that makes it so effective in 2v2 when you can connect that with the execution or even with the rocket. Any type of, even a fireball works with that combination as well, and you just saw time and time again where the Tornado just nullifies everything that you're just trying to put on one side, and that defensive strat has worked perfectly so far for a lot of these teams.
Yeah, lots of units with splash damage and area of effect, even a baby dragon. Of course, Executioner, one of the best defensive tools, along with the Tornado, Baby Dragon, Dark Prince. Mostly, there's so many units to actually use along with that Tornado. Of course, we mentioned about the spells. Rocket basically takes everything out along with Tornado, so that's why it's banned. Now, we do have the Poison in the game, though. So are we going to see that Golden Push once again? And a few of the cards that we've been seeing is the charging ones with the Double Prince, a few Battle Rams even. I think that's very likely to be coming out in this 2v2 this case.
Another case that we like to consider are the Giant Skeletons going to make a comeback here in week 3. So we saw plenty of it in week 2, showing that double summon of Giant Skeleton. 12 elixirs, sure, that's a lot of elixirs to be used, but when you destroy an entire army rushing in just with the explosion damage they can do is like absolutely insane, and I'd like to see that again, but hasn't seen an indication of that in our previous 2v2 where we saw Ojanentis and Game with finding that it wasn't about the Giant Skeletons, it was about the offensive units making the tower fall. Kind of similar to what we saw from week 1, so I'm starting to see that again this week.
First time from Raiki to play 2v2 in this case. But Mikan, he has been playing a lot with lots of Tornado bans, even the Balloon ban from Pono Sports. Somewhat surprising, but if they have been, their favorite has been Zap and Poison combo, most likely when Tornado is banned, which is the same case. I believe it's about, we're going to see about the same deck. Lots of Poison dropping down with the Zap, maybe some heavy spells to actually take them out. But with the Tornado ban, it should be about as even, of course.
Something I want to see actually is the Lava Loon combo once again. The Lava Hound and the Balloon doing such good work for a lot of these teams over the past 2 weeks. And now we're in week 3, the conference division, with the regions kind of clashing with each other. Could see that combo once again. Would be a treat of mine, obviously, to make sure we can get that to put heavy damage with one drop at a time from the Balloon, with the Lava Hound just tanking all the damage. We've seen that come true for many teams. Interesting to see if that would happen again.
See as both teams get about as ready to jump in. Of course, communication should be on top.
Yeah.
Headset problems has been happening sometimes, but not too much. As been hearing from the Greencaster, actually, Yungela, that he was saying 2v2 is a different one. They're always used to just 1v1 this last 2 years, and then suddenly you have to play 2v2, which they're not used to.
Yeah.
The teamwork was never there before. 2v2 was just to play casual, to get some crown, and that's it. But now in competitive, they have to make a different showing in this case.
See how they can do as we begin game 2 here. Wichan and Sungwon for the side of OPG Skeleton with Mikan Booya and Raiki Jones after coming off a win in that 1v1 aspect. Wanting to do the same for Pono Sports in the second set here. Of course, we see Japan up at top with Korea down at bottom. That will be the case for all our matches today. So if you're any type of confusion arises, just know that the Korean teams will always be at the blue side at the bottom.
If you have a favorite side, if you have the favorite region, you You can just cheer for the team. Whichever team comes out is going to be the same.
Skeleton Barrel. Gonna be mostly used just for the cycle references.
We actually do see that barrel quite often in 2v2. We don't really mention too much about it because it basically does not really connect too much damage, but what's in this case? Again, Pekka.
What a heavy rush coming from both teams now already at the beginning of this game. Pekka, along with some Prince coming in from Pono Sports.
Rage and Rage. Over that Rage and Rocket does pick up most of the units, only Golem.
Yeah, Golem doing
scratches.
Just one explosion damage from the mini Golem. Not a big problem here, as we do see Pekka still pushing through from the first wave. Okay.
Even a zap consumed right there.
Okay, Pekka. Pekka is going to do one damage. He's going to get the one swipe. Second swipe doesn't come through, but still a major win as the Dark Prince still putting out about 2 hits onto that tower right there. So
Miner, Pekka, and Dark Prince, they both hit at least 1 hit onto that tower. And down to 1100, there we go.
Huge loss there coming in. Uchan and so on from OPG Skeleton.
They did not have the best cycle. And once again, right after the Golem, the guards and the Miner, this will be significant amount of damage. Maybe down. Maybe they just give up on that tower
The left one's gone.
Yes.
There's nothing you can do. And you just summon the Golem on the right side. Trying to go all in here, and that's the last resort here coming in
even
from
the Tombstone
OPG
is
Skeleton.
available from Pono Sports here.
Okay, he's going to be able to stop it. Of course, he does have the rocket to make sure. Very nice. Just getting that Electro Wizard at the end as well. So very important there in the way he got maximum efficiency from that. Rage coming through. How are we going to be able to utilize that? Of course, an all-in effort.
Lots
in from OPG Skeleton.
Pono's dropping everything, but they're not really doing damage to the units. May just be a trade of the tower.
722, 397. That will be the tower gone for Pono Sports though.
They still have the Inferno Dragon. If they actually did not drop the Golem right on top. Maybe I thought they were considering going for that 3 crown because they had Inferno Dragon about at 80% health.
Now we see a left push with the Golem and the Prince for OPG Skeleton. And we see the same, the Golem.
The double Golem from OPGG.
Okay, it's going to be double Golem, so heavy investment, so very good use of the Rocket.
Rocket to defend, the Rage on top, they're going straight. The second Golem makes it in.
Okay, it's still going to do a little bit of damage, going to explode right at the face of the turret. Going to go down relatively easy, so that Rocket doing a lot of value right there. See the flying machine just trying to pick out the Dark Prince there.
None of the ground units, of course. As you sacrifice some of your King Tower.
Let's see the Skeleton Barrel drop here. Is he going to be able to counter this one? Still going for it on the left side.
The zap was cleared. Golem does split from the Inferno Dragon, but Rage actually speeding that up quite a lot. Prince now charging in directly. He gets stopped by the Electro, but another Electro doing some damage on the right side. Getting ignored right now.
Golem here. Going to be pushed by the double Prince. Coming in from OPG Skeleton. Still yet to find out who's going to take this one. That's a tower HP. Pretty similar. Poison right there on both sides. Both defensively and offensively.
Great poison from OPGG. Taking down Tombstone, and so the Golem goes directly. They have that Rage.
Okay, it's still not going to come through though with a lot of damage though. Gonna make that extra 2 elixir use really inefficient there.
The Prince can't really charge in against the guards pretty hard. Good duel between these two teams.
Been pretty even on both sides. See the Skeleton landing will not do too much. It's mostly about the Golem versus the Pekka.
Down to 120. We usually don't go this far with 2v2.
Here we go in. And the Pekka stop it once again. And swipe down.
Inferno Dragon locks onto Golem. Does a lot of damage before going down to that Rocket.
And the Rocket does damage onto the Infernal Dragon to make sure the Golem stays alive. The Rage still coming through to make sure you get the maximum effort coming from the units, and Infernal Dragon still alive. Gonna go down eventually, but down to 1446.
Barely connects.
Really hard to tell if it's gonna be a tie coming through. It really could happen with 50 seconds left on the clock.
Notice the placement of that Golem. We wanted to have not a slow push, but a push enough to actually have that right after the top. Inferno Dragon
right on the middle.
Lost on the left one, so it's going to get taken out. The second one is diving in. They believe they do have the Rage.
This could make it or break it. The second Golem exploding down and doing a little bit of damage down to 920 here. It's down to 839, 812 after that poison damage.
Used a lot, but about the same elixir as a defensive tool for Ponos.
Seems like Ponos Sports are just really resorting to a draw. It's not they're not trying to win the game. They're just trying to make sure their tower doesn't fall. We can just get a remake here. After this, we'll eventually go to a draw here. As 1 second left on the clock means that Ponos Sport kept their defensive strat strong, and OPG Skeleton very close to getting that win there and could have made it an even matchup. But we still see a draw, which might indicate that we have to play just another match for this game too.
How often do you actually see a draw from 2v2?
Yeah.
I possibly played more than 1,000 games on 2v2. I've only had one single game as a tie. Never again?
Really difficult when you can be heavily weighted on one side when you talk about 2v2. That one side can go down and the other side can go down just as easily for your opponents. Means that who pushes it down faster? That's always the answer with 2v2. Who gets the tower down first? One person's gonna get it. One team is gonna get it. But it seems like this case around, seems like OPG Skeleton was just trying to get that second tower, kept going at it, but Ponos Sport wasn't even interested about getting the second crown. They were just worried about defending it out each time, and even for that 5 minutes or so, they were able to just defend that second tower to make sure we get to another game here.
Very close game. First tie that I have with my own cast, but with the tornado ban, that's I think what we're going to see likely over and over. And with the guard to basically counter against the double princes, and Pekka really not connecting too well against the Infernal Dragon. And whenever that actually connects and does some damage, there's that rocket spell from both sides. It was about as even as possible in game 1.
The rocket was highly effective in the way that both teams have used it. Gonna get on to game 2 once again. After that first attempt at game 2 ended up in a tie. You can see these two players from both teams duke it out once again. Very evenly matched in our first attempt at game 2. Here we are once again to decide the winner. Second rotation here.
Miner early.
Trying to get that bat to squeeze in a lot of damage. But really did not allow that. Lava Hound this time for OPG Skeleton. Being countered right back.
Zap was used right before. Okay, another one. So double zap from OPGG.
Okay, so the Infernal Dragon stopped by the Electro Wizard. Okay, we're actually going to see the Lava Hound now destroyed with the Miner still doing a lot of damage to the tower. The Bat's going to try to stop it as early as it can, but the summoning from the Lava Hound has had maximum effect.
The pups actually did some damage, and meanwhile, Miner was actually doing the most damage from the side. And that's oftentimes when it comes to the time, when you actually want to have that lava, the perfect balloon combo to actually do tons of damage. But once you have some unit actually taking the arrow from the Princess Tower, if you just throw in the Miner, about as same damage.
Lava Hound on both sides. So Opponent Sports had a similar idea that maybe the Golem wasn't the right strategy to go to it. Here they are once again, trying to just rival back the Lava Hound here. Of course, the Electro Wizard stopped them last time around.
Another gigantic push on the left side.
Oh, very nice this time around. Going to have the Electro Wizard to stop the Infernal Dragon defense from the side of Opponent Sports, making it a little bit easy to defend that this time around.
Infernal Dragon both burning each other.
Lava Hound summoned again on the left side for OPG the Skeleton.
OPG, they also have the Tombstone to delay the lava so hard. So I wonder if Ponos also has a structure like that to delay or make an angle to actually change the pathing, so you can't really go directly to the tower.
You see the Infernal Dragon just rivaling it against once again to make sure that Lava Hound doesn't do any significant damage. The Miner still pushing it out one at a time. Lava Hound summoned a little bit early. The second one now. So Opponent Sports, what can this do? As we see the first Lava Hound just about to be stopped here. Second one is still pushing in. All these units pushing forward. Can they get enough damage to push this one? But 468 left on their tower means that if this push does not work out, Opponent Sports might be in a lot of trouble winning out this game too.
Oh, that Dark Prince not even close against.
Yeah, it's over.
Against so many units, Double Miner right there gets the first round.
15 seconds
all the
left.
way in.
Still have 10 seconds for anything to change, but obviously with 1851 on the tower count, makes it extremely difficult for Pono Sports to try anything, and seemingly they've just faced their defeat in this game 2. Just going to head to the tiebreaker to make sure that these two teams can be settled in this 2v2 variant. Really nicely done by OPGG Skeleton, make sure they get the win. The Lava Hound push was similar on both sides, but definitely the preemptive one coming from OPGG Skeleton in the beginning was the difference maker in the end.
It's a very tough one, as Ponos at their final lava was basically a waste. They couldn't really have any other units because they were low on elixir to pair that up with some damage following up. Miner was taken out so easily with the Mega Minions. There was nothing like a fireball to connect up with. And that did happen for OPGG though. They had their own fireball, poison, doing tons of damage to the unit that was trying to defend. So in terms of elixir trade and how they wanted to approach that, they just had a massive lead into the game.
Okay, we're gonna get a little us back to the screen as we saw Pono Sports call a timeout after that loss. They know that one more game win could win up in the series, so really it's important that, you know, Pono Sports wants to get this win here. They could just finish out the series and try to make sure they finish it out strong, and just taking a timeout now to make sure their strategies are settled for and prepared to beat out the OPGG Skeleton in 2v2.
Yeah, 2v2, just Tombstone sometimes is the structure that you need. Against the Golems, against anything like Golem, Giant, or even a P.E.K.K.A. Pretty strong delaying tactic against those heavy ones. Slowly moving in, but once they change the angle, the direction, not really going directly to the tower.
Okay,
that's how you buy time. That's how you buy time for your own defense, your own elixir. It takes a long time for them to crawl slowly.
Especially the units being so slow, with the major units being the Golem and maybe the Lava Hound. Even the P.E.K.K.A.'s not that big, strong, very fast in their movement as either. So it means that Tombstone, with 71 skeleton at a time, means that the slowing down of these really slow units makes that extremely effective. Kind of similar to the way that we saw from earlier in today, where the Ice Wizard used to slow down to these big pushes from either side.
Yeah, that's right.
Tombstone does exactly the same.
Yeah, the Electro Wizard also a great one. I think you basically need at least one Electro Wizard along with Infernal Dragon, which counters both ways. So I think that's what we see all the time.
Yeah.
But the miner used from OPGG in that game was excellent. The double miner, first one not as much value, but still, once you have that lava just taking all the damage, instead miner connects shots after shots. It seems like miner is really weak, but compare to everything else that can actually do damage, sneaking behind that tower and always just using that shovel. Can you really bring down a tower with a shovel?
You're breaking down one brick at a time every time you do the whack. Whack the brick, and one brick at a time.
How many bricks are there?
I mean, you gotta talk about the damage that does that one knock. I mean, but the more important thing about a miner is that it tanks up the damage, you know, whenever you're trying to just aggro everything away while the front units are coming in. That's what it is supposed to do, especially with the miner just trying to take the aggro away while the other units coming from behind are pushing forward. But like I said, when there's no frontal units from your allies, just means that the miner is the main source of damage. It's kind of crazy to say, but having it worked out for OPGG Skeleton.
Yep. Seems like OPGG is having a similar one to start off. Tombstone once again may just be the same. Lava once again.
And switching out from Golem. From a Lava Hound here for Pono Sports. Felt like that wasn't the answer to go with. You see the bats coming through. Just taking out the minions there. Really nice.
Skeletons delaying the flying machine would actually help OPGG for defense.
We're still looking at this Golem just breaking apart. Just in front of the tower. Get a little bit of explosion damage, but nothing really big quite yet.
This is a huge push coming in. Do they have the spell? They had a fireball to begin with. That may not be enough in this case.
Okay, still gonna see the Infernal Dragon doing a little bit of damage. Make sure the miner coming through once again to just tank up while the other units do a little bit of damage. You see that one little Fire Spirit, just a little bit of damage as it drops down to 687. So huge hit taken by Pono Sports early in this game.
They do switch Golem, and it does somewhat connect with the explosion damage only, but Infernal Dragon, how OPGG has been defending in this game has been superb, actually.
And the Golem being put on the left side means that Pono Sports has completely abandoned the right tower. knowing that it will go down sooner or later.
But once again, the tombstone.
Go on the left side.
You actually use the fireball to take that all out. Poison, much better of a spell choice there.
Okay, so very good there. Knocking out multiple units. The Dark Prince with the tower going down on their own end. Trying to make sure they do maximum damage onto the left side. Make sure they get evenly in trades.
Not too even though. Down to 600 even with the rage. It's not enough as they...
Look at the fly machine on the top.
I know, the range is
Infernal
insane.
Dragon.
It does
Infernal
so much
Dragon.
damage.
Infernal Dragon stopped by the zap. Very close in the way that it could have been so much different. That went wrong.
Flying Dragon once again onto the right side. They actually may some draw out some defenses. Golem going to that into once again.
And Golem being on the rage here, trying to get to close to the tower as they can, but the left tower
is going to bring down to actually make it even. But in terms of the other tower, even the King Tower is down to 2300 right there.
Okay, can he get this one push? This might change it all as we see the Prince just pushing through.
Putting everything through.
Okay.
Down to the King Tower. Infernal Dragon not really getting the hit, but look at the time.
Stopping it now. 1773 down to about 1692. Maybe the final count.
Gets close. Double that lava.
Oh,
but double the Infernal Dragon counter. Perfect one. Locks in with the rage. They will actually defend this one. So many pubs. The zap comes in.
Okay, that's so much of a big elixir trade.
Spent.
Very nice. And what a trade now for opponents where they can just do the all push. I'm sure they have a huge elixir lead now. Push for that King's Tower now.
That was an incredible defense just now.
Yeah.
D-Tower still 225 on the clock. It's also not just your own Princess Tower. Your King Tower may actually go down also at the same time. You really have to have second thoughts. Miner going behind Mega Minion to deal with it.
Okay, so Miner not really affected when the King's Tower is active. Still gonna see Pono Sports pushing it out here. Can they get more damage done? The Golem seeming pretty emptily with the Prince right behind it. Just trying to buy some time to make sure the push
It goes straight to the King, so they have to place another one.
1692. It's going to be just stopped right there. 1174 on the explosion. Still going to see a little more explosion to come way through. 1012.
Everything down, even the poison.
Okay.
Right down, but not enough damage connects into the King Tower.
So that will not come through this time. 796 to count here. You see, still push coming through. 1 minute and 35 seconds. Give me a timer here. The Lava Hound just trying to push his way through. You see the clone actually just trying to work out here. Really not going to resort to anything. 571 down to 544, mostly coming from the poison. Can he stop this?
Easily.
Oh,
it's not connected to Tube though.
Okay, the Tombstone doesn't work out, but still trying to get all the defense in. 796 does very well to stop the defense here. The last minute Tombstone was the difference maker.
That was a bait for this Golem. They want this Golem to be the actual finisher here for Ponos.
But a double Miner here.
Double the Miner.
Gonna be stopped here by 333. Poison's gonna knock it severely low. Very close to getting it defeated. But this Golem push has to work out now. 690 with 634.
Double Prince.
Remember, 117 means that poison, that one last poison could make all the difference. But 5
Dragon locks onto the King Tower.
Gonna be that. And King's Tower is gone. And Pono Sports, despite all the differences, they're gonna find themselves the winner after that nice game. And what a turnaround it was. And we thought that last Golem push, if that did not work out, he had we knew that OPG Skeleton had that one more poison in their rotation. That would have been that 112 out of the way.
What a massive comeback here as Pono Sports. They were falling behind super hard against so many Miner. Once they, at the very beginning, once they used the Fireball to take out that tomb, they actually lost an Elixir trade a little bit. And right after OPGD thought, okay, they just used a spell, a big spell actually, so let's make our own push. And ever since that moment, they lost their first one. And then we kind of thought this game may actually be over at this point.
But quick change in strategy coming from Pono Sports to just completely abandon the right side where the defense did not work in the first attempt. They went completely to the left side to invest all the units to get that other opponent left tower to make sure they get there as fast as they can so they don't lose time. And we went to the overtime, stalling time after time. Of course, that right tower obviously was gone by Pono Sports for very early in this game, but the left power tower strike was a very good maneuvers switch coming in from OPG Skeleton against them, and it's going to be really important that Pono Sport try to make sure they give up what they already lost to make sure they get the other reward on the other end.
Yeah, even after dropping down and losing into the game, when you're falling behind, you end up rushing, and you can't really wait for the perfect moment. But they were ready for that double lava from OPGG. They dropped that double lava right in the middle, where you get the extra space right after you destroy this tower, and the one right next to the left bridge. And they were ready with the Inferno Dragon. I got this one, and then perfectly done, boom, right off after 3-4 seconds.
Would have been difficult. Yeah, it would have been difficult to expect a double lava hound, but really had all the answers from Pono Sports.
Yeah, that was insane. And the way of defending and reading cards, the cycle of the opponent was insane. Of course, 2v2, many more cards to remember, of course. It is not 1v1. Trust me, 2v2. If you want to read everything and predict what's a cycle, what's a perfect cycle is, sometimes the game actually becomes like, let's just drop down everything, all the spells. You end up missing all the spells, and I can't really read everything.
It's like that movie. Have you ever seen 21, the blackjack movie, where this guy remembered all the rotation of the cards exactly in order? You just have to have that same type of mindset when you're playing a 2v2. There's so many cards. It's not 8 cards. It's 16 cards. You have to remember the rotation and the way they work. Which cycle did it work, and how many elixirs does that take away from 20 possible elixirs from 2 players in total? So many mind games when it comes to 2v2. It makes it a little bit difficult the way they have to communicate to make sure you get that information correctly. Just means that Pono Sports now just literally just one single game away from winning it all.
Yes. 4th game actually, because the first game tie between these two teams. The second one, OPGG Skeleton took it. 3rd one, just now Ponos. So we will be going with the 4th game with 2v2.
We're going to be getting the players ready very, very soon to make sure this could be the last one for OPGG Skeleton. If they do not win out this one, just winning out this one could get them to the ace match, which is very important. The way they can pull back through what Korea has been a little bit struggling against Japan today. Just in today's game, we saw a game with taking a handing down beating onto the side of OG and Entis, and we saw that continue a little bit from Pono Sports onto OPGG Skeleton in that 1v1, kind of handily beating out their opponents as well. But 2v2, it's seeming like it was going to go their way as well, but OPGG Skeleton fought back in that first set after that remake. But obviously that second match didn't go the way that it initially expected, and it was a very close match on both ways, and this match really on the 3rd one could decide all.
Yeah, of course deciding everything in this. Could be a final one, of course, Ponos, if they end up having a win. And we never got to see that giant skeleton tonight so far.
Yeah.
May just be out of the weekends anymore. And we saw it happening over and over again last weekend. But not yet for this weekend. Of course, only 2 matches in.
We have 3 series prepared for the day, for you guys today. Means that after the 2nd series, if Pono Sports wins out this one, it's going on to break and be back with the very final series of the day. Really excited to see, how this was gonna actually translate into results, because we saw the Korean regions kind of clashing out within each other, and Japan region, we saw the 4 teams just duking it out, but we never really got to see Korea versus Japan, and this is the first indication of what we should expect for the rest of the season. And so far, it has seemed like Japan has been on the upwards when it talks about the trend moving forwards.
Yeah, it will be home and away system, as we have from week 3 to all the way to week 8, 6 weeks still left to go, and it's a long season here, as we'll get to see the. I wonder what's going to happen actually. Rascal's coming out very soon, and when that happens, maybe it will be in play as soon as it's released. I believe 14 days, so 2 more weeks.
Yeah, it's going to happen during the conference division, it's seeming like. And talking about Rascal, tried it out a little bit today during the Rascal challenge. Saw the strengths of it, obviously, but the weaknesses of it as well. Feel like obviously I might not be using it right, but it just feels like the gum splitters on the back, they're just so flimsy. They're so in the way they don't survive very long. I think they're just,
I saw the video in game, and they look very strong.
I mean, if you use it correctly, maybe like I said, I might not be using it correctly, but the front guy for 5 elixirs you're using, it's a pretty heavy investment to make sure you get that correctly. But in the trade of that, I just felt like maybe a little bit of readjustment needs to be made over the 2 weeks to make sure the release is correct. Because we usually like to see when a new card is released, it's just a little bit stronger than what is expected out of some people to make sure that people get excited about the cards. But for this one, starting to form me a little question mark, but I have to still play a few more games here.
Yep, that's usually what happens. New cards come in, never really making into too many ladder decks even. But after 3 months, 4 months, then you finally find, oh, this card actually works pretty well with this kind of meta. And once a Royal Ghost, not many people has been using it too often. Of course, got a slight nerf onto that damage, I believe. But even before, not really using it because it's just a new card. Where do you actually put the Royal Ghost in? There's not a card that's exactly the same. So you have to actually adjust a lot of your decks.
Barbarian Barrel, not even used today. After a couple of weeks after its release, still not the most popular card.
The only time I used him, I was actually for the Goblin challenge that we had.
You were forced to use it.
I was forced to use it because I randomly just get that deck.
There you go. That's what it takes, you know. When Supercell forces us to use their new cards, that's when we play it.
We actually won a lot of games with that.
There you go. And we're gonna get into the games here.
Well, maybe the exactly same from game 3. I believe we have the same one.
Lava Hound.
This was as close.
OPG Skeleton. The Golem coming in from Pono Sports. See the Infernal Dragon not being stopped here. The Miner just trying to do chip damage with the guards in the back doing the defensive strats, but the Golem is still rushing in.
Does a good amount of damage, down to 1,500.
Yeah.
Push from Ponos. Golem directly doing a lot more.
Oh, 1,073.
Even the Mega Minion.
Wow, it's gonna get it. 327. That was very close by Pono Sports. Talking about a lot of chip damage done by that Mega Minion.
Again, might as well just drop that left tower and just maybe start pushing onto that right one because 327 will be going down against with few spells.
Oh no, they're going back to the left side. OPG Skeleton, they're trying to just invest into this Lava Hound
because they already did massive damage onto the left tower. I do follow their reasoning, but the defense from the right side has to be coming on time at the same time.
It's going to be almost impossible to get that 327 tower surviving until the late game.
Let's see how they actually want to do this one. There's Poison even landing on top. Not really small units. Maybe the Rage. Going directly to the bottom tower, actually. This one connects
the Dark
massively.
Prince. Doing a lot of damage. See the Miner just pulling that tower down to 494, but 73 for this left tower. It's going to be gone by just a couple of seconds for the Infernal Dragon.
Laser pretty strong right there.
But it really wasn't that much HP to work with on the left tower. Now they're skimmed on the right tower as well. It's 1388. So OPG Skeleton has to be a little bit careful.
And 494 is actually not quite enough for a single spell.
Yeah,
of course.
It's not quite gone.
And I think they just have a Fireball maybe?
Does have Poison though. I think they can work with that.
But they still have to use multiple, so they're going to send the Miner in this case.
Might be able to finish it off. With obviously the Tombstone selling down the Skeleton.
Double Golem push is incoming onto the right side though. It's connecting.
The Dark Prince, can it be stopped here? We see the explosion coming left and right from all these pieces of the Golems. 276, and it might just get that last explosion down to 170.
Pretty close. Dark Prince.
Oh, great poison there, and that's gonna get all the defensive strats away from OPG Skeleton. The Lava Hound summoned very, very close to the tower. Just a double Infernal Dragon though. It's gonna stop the Lava Hound before it even reaches the tower. Still going to be very much a successful defensive coming in from Pono Sports, and this might be the end of it. 170, and that will be it. The Poison will eventually finish it off, and the sudden death is not going to be involved, as we do see that Poison with the zap to make sure they get that win. And Pono Sports, the second Japanese team to overcome the Korean teams once again in their opposition, and here they are making Japan look extremely strong today.
Again, a win. Since Ponos having a great win, their push has been amazing. More of a defensive way. They had the perfect defense all the time. A better one compared to OPGG, how they really wanted to push in.
Yeah.
So that's how they were able to push in. Their way of having the Infernal Dragons has been amazing in Game 3 and Game 4. Such a great play. Gonna see that highlight once again, replay.
This was basically after the first tower went down, and I felt like it was a mistake. I felt like it was a missed decision to still invest on the left side after you basically lost most of your tower on the left side.
It's really hard. You have to at least get a trade.
Yeah, but at the same time, the way that you invest fully on the left side, you know your opponent's going to do that same thing on the right side, and you have no defensive strats against it.
Yeah, right after the push, and you can basically see OPGG Skeletons, they are landing a lava after, and then after it goes down, they send the mine. minors.
Yeah.
So way too late of a push. See, after the lava goes down, they send it to the minors.
Double
so
Inferno.
you can't really pair that up together. You do not get a synergy. They had no synergy because they were low in Elixir because they chose to actually push the left one. And they're losing in the Elixir trade because of the opponent just making the perfect decision to have better trades overall.
So we're going to get to an interview with Pono Sports, see how they feel about that win just now.
それでは、監督兼選手の三上坊さん、今の試合を終えての感想を伺えますか。
まず第1セット目で天狗選手がギリギリの試合をもう一生懸命な必死なプレーで勝ちを拾ってくれて、それでパワーが僕たちにみなぎったんじゃないかなと思います。この一戦に向けてかなりこう韓国
A close win coming from Tenga was a big reassurance for us, I'm sure.
Though it was a 2-0.
Yeah.
そうですね、韓国選手
But it was a really close 2-0, I have to say. Just talking about the details of the game.
入れていたんですけども、バンカードで結構変わってしまって、とっさの判断でクロスボウを選択したんですけども、うまく刺さってくれてよかったんじゃないかなと思います。
I think OPGG Skeleton is a very strong team.
Still putting that credit on there, obviously, onto their opponents.
はい、自分は今日控えだったので、みんなのサポートに回っていました。でも控えだったんですけども、もう本当に胃が痛くてハラハラして。
This is that player that didn't play in today's game, trying to just try to make sure he stays as a support while the other three players are playing their hearts out in that 1v1 and 2v2.
Just making sure reminding the players like this is the deck we use, this is the deck we practice.
Right.
スケルトンですね、アイスピスケルトンで受け止めたあの瞬間も会場がお
We had some really close games.
いやもう本当に負けたくない一心で、
Can we talk about the game that you lost with the skeleton?
出したので自分でもよくやったなと褒めてやりたいと思います。
あの一戦をまあ1ゲーム取って
I think that was one of the best play that I actually had in that game.
Very amidst the greatness of that play.
余裕ができて2セット目をしっかりと取ることができました。
ありがとうございます。そしてライキ・ジョーンズ選手、
really hard to actually
overcome
the nervousness, but I did it.
やっぱ集中とか切れそうになったんですけど、でそこで一回負けそうな時に相手の穴振りを拾ってそのままカウンターしてギリギリのところで逆転できて、そこで流れのまま乗ってやっぱいけたのがでかかったかなと思います。
Initially we lost that 2v2, but we came back after close games.
協力バトルだったと思うんですけども、ちょっとなんかこれ難しいなっていうの協力バトルでありました。
やっぱ声を掛け合うように意識していて、そこら辺はよくできているんですけど、
2v2 today, what are some of the differences?
出すときにやっぱ2人とも一緒に出しちゃったりとか、
Having communication, of course, is the biggest difference.
やっぱその前と後ろで両方受けるとか、
And there are lots of we had some different opinions about which card to use at which time.
That's what you have to overcome. You have to do conflicting communication to make sure you guys go on that same direction. That's what Pono Sports did better today.
Yeah, but we still had lots of practices, so I think it could come down to a better result for us.
ファンの方にはちょっと心臓を痛めるような試合で申し訳ないんですけども。
I'm really sorry to the fans because our games were actually so close tonight.
ありがとうございます。それでは改めて勝利を収めたポノスポーツの皆様で
hoping
した。
that you'll be super glad and happy about the game, and maybe he even said you may be touched from our game.
That's an incredible interview. It's just comment about they're feeling apologetic for the not because
even after winning,
they wanted to win in a more convincing manner. Of course, that was really showed by game within that first series, but second series, really close match. I felt like Pono Sports outdid OPG Skeleton in many instances, but still wants to improve. Not happy with that, but that will be, obviously after game with winning out, Pono Sports winning out on that second series, making Japan look really good right now. We're going to short break to be back to see if Korea can jump back on the train here as we return for the final series of 9. We're going to get to the closing, and we're going to get back for the next series. So short break, we'll be right back. Welcome back, guys, to Clash Royale League Asia. We're back with our last series, very much prepared to see if Japan can keep their run going, because it has been a day about Japan. It has been day of Japan just dominating over Korea so far in a 2-0 streak so far. Last team remaining, FOV Gaming. Can they do it against the Sandbox team, a team that has performed the worst in the entire Korean region?
No W whatsoever on the screen. L3.
L3.
The last place in the entire Asian teams, entire Asian league here, as we do have 3 players, Connie, Ito, Beaver. Surprisingly, lots of the Korean players and as well as the Korean commentators, they have been predicting them to be on top compared to what they have, the opposite of what they have right now.
Not doing so well, but a team that has done a little bit better than them was FOV Gaming, with 1 win and 2 losses here. Rad, Kinsumeshi, Oz, and Yakitori. 4 players who have really high trophy ratings, but has not translated into actual wins for most of their regional qualifiers. But here they are once again. See how they will do against this Korean team. So a little bit of a mix of kind of lower tier teams from both Korea and Japan to get a final indication of how the 2 regions compare. Actually get to see how they do. It's really important to see how Japan has been so dominating in Game 1, obviously, with Game With doing a lot better than OGNS, but Game 2 was a lot closer, obviously, with Pono Sports just barely winning it out. And of course, the prediction did not go both ways with the ace match not coming to fruition, but it was mostly about 2-0 came a little bit more through a struggle and was little close bits and pieces when compared to the first series.
Yeah, certainly true. As we had less of the counterattacks, it was more of how we actually make the cards being more valuable, and that's how the Korean team has lost slightly against the Japanese team. Very good use of having a defensive move, especially the 2v2. I believe, of course, 1v1 is very strong for all the teams, but 2v2 makes all the changes. I think that's the key card that we're going to have.
Wow. 1v1 ban on Golem? Wow.
He says, no way that's happening. I don't care about the Elixir Collector. It is going to be banned out. No Golem in this game.
Did they kind of forget that this was 1v1, not 2v2?
Well, still, Golem, a very strong tool.
Sure.
Not really having the best outcome, I would say, as with the Golem ban.
Wow.
Instead of the Elixir Collector.
So Beaver really thought that Kensumeshi was just a Golem god that as long as the Golem's taken, I can beat him with any other card. It's kind of thinking the thought process of Beaver, but Kensumeshi
used once out of the 4 games that Kensumeshi actually played. So
maybe Beaver just doesn't like playing against the Golem. I guess that has to be a strategy, but we haven't seen many Golem bans in 1v1, guys. That's not first thing we want to get out of the way. Either Elixir Collector is understandable because, you know, Elixir Collector kind of soft bans the other big cards, including the Golem. Balloon, a little bit more of a common ban in this 1v1 situation with Kensumeshi banning it out for FOV Gaming. Means that the Balloon will not be able to sneak in there for the sneaky drops that does a wall-up of damage.
The Beaver, as a no player since 2017 or early 2016 even in Korea, has been oftentimes when he says the ban card is the best when you can actually snipe onto your opponent. One card that the favorite card that your opponent is very likely to play. But a Golem, that's a pretty hard one to actually snipe, and he has been the one that actually said, if you're going to ban the Golem, Elixir Collector is a better way because you can kind of ban multiple cards along with that instead of just sniping onto one single card. But he's got something different, as he said that a long time ago.
So, is this the thought process that maybe Beaver might play the Elixir Collector himself and maybe bring out another big card like even the 3 Musketeers?
It's all about the mind games, and Golem surely is not available. Balloon also, which leads me to believe this going to have some maybe structures even coming out from Kensumeshi.
3 Musketeers maybe, that's something that I want to see. You know, we haven't got to see that basically in all day of plays, and we got through 2 series of Japan versus Korea. Of course, Japan coming out on top on both occasions. Now we're on to the 3rd and last one for the day. Kind of showing us maybe if Japan can just start us off with a 3-0 sweep, could kind of get an indication for what we can expect for the rest of the season. But really, Japan looking very strong the first 2 series so far. Of course, it is their home ground. They will get a chance to play here at OGN on their away foreign soil against the Korean teams once again, but really could see how that works out. we do see first game just about to get underway in the first 30 seconds or so.
Kenzamachi did ban the Three Musketeers in the previous 1v1 that he had.
Yeah.
Lost both of the games.
Okay.
But of course, it's syntactic as they're bringing the notes together, what cards they had, what deck choices they had previously.
Pretty sure that they were quite surprised by the Golem ban, just as we were. I would not have expected that if you were doing the preparation. But what cards can you compile through with the ban of the Golem, and what deck can you really just prepare in the way that you approach this very first game between these two teams?
Yeah, you kind of expect your opponent and yourself to actually not have as big as a heavy deck coming in.
Yeah.
A lot of the chipper ones, of course, available with these kind of bans.
See the players.
Let's see what kind of deck he has been planning with that Golem. I would be very surprised if he actually goes in with his own kind of P.E.K.K.A, really heavy ones pushing in.
Yeah, could be, and really could see anything with that Golem being banned away. Everything else is basically open. You know, Balloon, something typical we see commonly in these 1v1 scenarios, but when a Golem is banned out, we know that everything else is basically open to play, and anything really can happen from these deck compilation here. See what happens. Beaver versus Kentsumeshi with Sandbox, a team that has tasted no defeats over the 2 weeks of play in the regional qualifiers. Now they're up against this Japanese team with FAV Gaming, only having tasted the win once, having lost the other two. Come with that 1-2 record line. We're coming with Sandbox 0-3.
Some chip damage from the hut. Responded with the poison and some damage to the Princess Tower as well.
Really not allowing the little goblins to come out and make some damage. And get some assistance from the miner there. Gonna do a couple of damage before it is knocked away by the Dark Prince.
So, with the road goes, tanking in the front, and not really expecting too much of a heavy one. Miner should be doing the most chip damage from Beaver.
Still looking at this now. See the Prince being stopped by the Electro Wizard. Still gonna make counter back. Poison coming through once again to make sure that Goblin Hut makes its effect for the littlest of time.
The Electro should be just enough to defend against all the charges from Double Prince. But with the Double Prince, Kenzamachi is actually holding onto something. Has to be one of the bigger ones. Maybe a Prince, maybe a P.E.K.K.A or a Giant.
In the meantime, they were trying to get that miner in. Trying to get the Giant there as well. But the
also
Giant is being...
P.E.K.K.A.
Yeah, so Giant is countered directly by the P.E.K.K.A. Really not being able to do anything there. P.E.K.K.A still moving along. I wonder how he's going to compensate for this. P.E.K.K.A minion comes into play, but how much damage can you do to this P.E.K.K.A before it strikes the force onto your tower? Still not down. It might just be enough to get one. Yeah, the zap stops it in its track to make sure that one last arrow coming from the Princess Tower.
But three zaps from Electro Wizard does tons of damage.
Still less than what P.E.K.K.A could have done in just one swipe, gotta remember. So, minimal win coming from Kentsumeshi. Still looking towards the miner to do some chip damage, but it's gonna be stopped right there from the Prince.
Let's take a look at that, how Kenzamachi actually wants to handle this one. Last time the Giant was handled by the Prince, by the P.E.K.K.A again, will be the same thing if he goes all the way in. He doesn't really have any other way of pushing in. If the Giant is cancelled all the time, countered by the play.
Seems like right now the biggest problem is coming from Kentsumeshi, and he cannot handle all the little goblins coming through and still doing more than enough chip damage to make it count here. And P.E.K.K.A still gonna stop the Giant in his track without even doing one damage. So P.E.K.K.A really highly effective against this comp here, but has to be stopped before he can do the little damage himself. It's gonna be stopped by the Dark Prince in the Mega Minion combo.
In this case, it is about how both cases, how can I actually win the Elixir trade in the battle? Beaver trying to have that with the hut, trying to have the Spear Goblin at least try to defend a little bit more with the delay tactic. But this poison is way too effective for Kenzamachi.
Oh my goodness, and still trying the Giant combo, thinking that it might just work out.
He doesn't have anything else, that's the thing.
That's a really unfortunate situation for Kenta Mishi right now, as we do see Beaver just rushing in after the defensive strat works, and now the miner will connect. Get some damage in. And have the Prince push it back a little bit so that it pulls back the aggro, but right now, like I said, nothing really coming in for Kenta Mishi other than a Giant. He doesn't seem to have a plan B.
But he does. He's actually defending it pretty well enough. With the log doing the damage to the tower now. And the real problem will be this poison and the miner for Beaver. Can they actually defend that chip damage? It's almost impossible.
The miner coming through. The Electro Wizard just going to make sure to take all the damage and soak it all up. So that 344 will stay intact. Giant summon once again with the Prince. So it's going to be easily countered once again by the P.E.K.K.A. Just a couple of swipes. Want to do it. That third one is going to be good enough. So looking towards this direction to see if they can get any damage done, but the Electro Wizard on the side. Doing a lot of work for this team right here. 280, 216, and the poison, that will finish him off. And Beaver is going to get the first win here, 52-25, and that will be the last taken. Beaver, very much a calculated play all around. That last miner summoned without interruption. That will be him taking the first win away here.
Great prediction of the deck choice after banning that Golem. It was very likely that the opponent was going to bring that Giant deck.
Yeah.
Coming in and having the perfect counter with the P.E.K.K.A. was expected. The very common deck that we see all the time in the ladder. Double Prince with the Giant. And lots of spells actually. So after that, they are actually having a timeout plus 1 minute.
Top Gaming, after suffering that defeat, feels like they need a little additional time. 1 minute to be exact. To make sure they discuss over things to make sure they are prepared for the second game ahead. And really interesting to see how this will change up the game flow here, as we saw Five Gaming struggling in that game one. Really only had to rely on the Giant, and after it was countered by the P.E.K.K.A. Really nothing else that Kenta Mishi could do on that offensive end.
It always comes down to strategy. Once you only have a single way of actually going in as an offensive tool.
Yeah.
Double Prince without the tornado is actually super hard. And he wasn't really using that tornado. Poison in this case. Of course, there are two variations to that Double Prince Giant one. Really tough to actually make a push against all these defensible Electro Wizard, the P.E.K.K.A. Basically, Beaver was countering so hard in this deck.
Yeah. Beaver really knew exactly what to expect from his opponent after betting out the Golem himself. Saw the Giant coming through as that secondary Golem, as many people like to call it, of course, with less HP. But does a little bit of punch damage that does well all around, but you got that covered. Counters it exactly the same way as you would counter a Golem with the P.E.K.K.A. And really, you saw that Kenta Mishi had no alternate tools to counter what was going to be defending out his basically his main offensive strategy there.
Yeah, Beaver had a great tool of having his own defense and also pushing tool along with the miner, so he had at least two strategies to once maybe getting mass hits with the P.E.K.K.A. if he actually goes all the way in. But he also had that miner and the poison to chip damage, so over time he would go closer to his win, and he eventually got that tower damage with the poison. I believe he used poison on maybe 6-7 times onto that tower. It was massive damage overall, because competitive you have a lot more overtime, 2 minutes plus the regular time in the game.
So that spell rotation, very relied upon by a lot of these players here. It means that something like the poison, a couple of rotations in on and that should mean a lot of damage done, and Beaver does enough to make sure he completely counters his opponent, to make sure Kenta Mishi is really kind of powerless in the way that he approaches his decks here, and see how he changes it up in the game too.
Both players just warming up their hand at the moment.
We're going to see that 1 minute mark. That 1 minute double elixir rush could come into play once again. Nothing being played so far. Not even a cycling recycle here.
Right before, I think if Kenta Mishi brought a different one, may just be the Three Musketeers in this case. Zappy's first from Beaver.
Zappy's for the very first time here. Interesting choice coming in from Beaver.
It is going to be the charging deck. As with the Zappy, very likely lots of dashes, charging it with the Battle Ram. Battle Ram actually does not really connect to the tower. It's very rare, but it's going to this time.
And he's going to get the charge on, and even the Bandit doing the charge damage as well, so that charge deck coming through. a significant amount of damage onto
Kensumishi got a lot more damage, plus he was losing in the elixir trade as well.
Yeah, absolute complete loss coming out there, and see him just try to stop all the charge coming through. He's going to get that charge though. Oh, very, very close on that one. It's a little bit of difference that made all count in the end. Giant being summoned once again.
Kensumishi, after losing, he's keeping the same exact deck.
Yeah, so that's another mind game. So he's thinking that obviously you're going to change up your cards that maybe not.
He's got the zappies to delay even further, and he can actually have the Battle Ram going towards the other side, which would be just enough. And Inferno Dragon, the perfect one to counter that Giant.
So Inferno Dragon doesn't have an answer for that, and the Giant just going to be gone in a heartbeat. And what a play coming in from Beaver as he just keeps rushing into this right side now. And it's going to be stopped on the left for the Prince. Right now we're going to see this Dark Prince on the right having a hard time just to rush through because Zappy's there just stopping in his tracks. Giant being summoned once again with the help of the Mega Minion. Still looking at the Zappies. Gonna be summoned away by the Fireball.
Giant will connect a few hits, but that's only a few hits. And even without that, Beaver was winning the trade with the tower.
Still uses that Zap on the Infernal Dragon to stop him midway, to make sure he gets minimal value. And uses the Giant to his maximum credential. Very nicely done by Kensumishi.
Great law getting all 4 targets, dashes into the deep Prince, but has the Prince to actually take everything out.
So the Prince doing maximum effort there. The charge is going to be stopped there from the Zappies.
Even Zappies already being used. This may be the perfect time for Kensumishi to actually have the Giant push.
Yeah, he's going for it now, and Giant's going to be backed up by the Mega Minion from the left. Also the Dark Prince on the right as well.
The Electro Wizard not really connecting into the Infernal Dragon, so it's going to be doing massive damage to the Giant.
That's going to be it, and Kensumishi with that last Giant push doing all the work and getting an applaud from his teammates. Feeling very relieved that he didn't go out in the 2-0 there.
A great choice, actually, not changing your deck after a loss.
It is a reverse psychology. It's when you expect when your opponents expect that because you just lost with a Giant deck that of course he's not gonna play it again. That Kensumishi thought the reverse way of that. He thought, oh, obviously he's not gonna expect the Giant deck from me again, but I'm gonna play the Giant decks because he doesn't expect that.
It's also Beaver who actually decided to go onto the left lane, focus on to instead of focusing on both lanes because the time was coming down to an end very soon. At the beginning, he was actually distributing both lanes at the same time. Battle Ram even connecting, Bandit even getting the dash onto the tower. And it seemed that Kensumishi didn't really have the perfect tool to defend because he has to really focus on one lane instead. I think Beaver could have done that continuously, but instead he actually wanted to go to the left lane instead.
Also
that really cost him a lot.
Yeah, it also seemed like Beaver's reliance on the Zappies was a little bit too high. I feel like, you know, obviously stopping all the charging units was definitely helping out with the Zappies, but once you just get that out of there with the Fireball, what else are you going to do?
It's really tough. Kensumishi having the perfect spells and cycling through.
Yeah, very nice.
Great cycles in this case, a better one. And game number 2, I think he was somewhat considered once again, but it was really a great push with the Giant Double Prince.
Yeah.
Once again, it may just be the same for game 3, who knows?
That'll be a reverse psychology right there. And could expect anything now as Kensumishi has been pretty loyal in his Giant deck. Gonna get to 10 elixirs for both players. See what they play out. Royal Ghost, the first card being summoned. Both players actually, Kensumishi and Beaver.
Spooky.
Ghostly, if you can say. Still seeing the minions, the 3 variant kinds.
Because they actually go through. They go straight to the tower, they just pass by each other.
We're actually gonna see the Bandit trying to defend out against this Royal Ghost. Let's see once again, the biggest contributor to Beaver winning out his last game, this game 1, was the Goblin Hunt. Seemingly using it again, trying to go with what worked last time.
Along with the Miner also, I believe it's, but it may just be the same one.
Kensumishi had a hard time last time that he had to face up against the Goblin Hunt. Sees it again in game 3. See the Miner, someone halfway through a point now. That was an interesting play. So coming in and just going to be going towards Electro Wizard, very successful in getting the charge damage on, and still going for the golem, and now for the Goblin Hut there as well, so taking significant amount of damage onto that structure.
There's some chip damage coming in from the Spear Goblin. I wonder what the last card Kenzamishi is going to be. Certainly a different one. May just be all-in charging units.
Very well could be. Yep.
With the Miner.
But I figured out Kenzamishi had a better answer to the Goblin Hut this time around with the Bandit you saw earlier. Doing significant damage to the Goblin Hut, just charging in there right away. There it goes. Going straight for the tower, but almost gets there. Very close on that one. See the Bandit still doing a lot of work with the Miner now sneaking in there. Doing a lot of chip damage now.
That's the thing. The shovel does so much damage.
It really does, and just breaking one brick at a part. Still looking at this. Full elixir for a lot of these players. Trying to just go with the poison to get the chip damage onto the units and also the tower as well.
Miner not really landing on too much. Basically, poison is the one that does the most damage to the tower. Very close game.
Okay, we're gonna see the P.E.K.K.A. The last card here. P.E.K.K.A. for both players, so it's ended up being a very similar deck for both players here.
But a slower one from Kenzamishi could benefit his own way, so has to bring that Miner to at least delay or draw attention.
Okay, we're looking at this now. The defensive P.E.K.K.A. from Kenzamishi just destroyed the Miner, and the other P.E.K.K.A. from Beaver, and it's now charging in on the offense.
Poison's somewhat effective, and Beaver also has the hut to delay so much, so let's see how effective this one is. Poison being dropped with the Miner, doing tons of damage to the back of the tower.
So also Bandit just destroying that Goblin Hut altogether. So right now, 1290 versus 1030.
He does that, turn that around with the HP Miner. Drawing that P.E.K.K.A. once again. This one's going straight to the tower. May well connect, does not with the Royal Ghost going down.
Wow, 429 down to 400 flat. To the side of Kenzamishi, has to be careful. A couple of rotation of spells over this 2 minutes of time left remaining. Could be enough to finish out the game here. Still has a lot of damage to cover. Can he get that done? The Royal Ghost on the defensive strats here.
Ooh, lots of zap and spells used by Beaver. He's lost in his events.
Beaver is going to go down here. The one more swipe coming for the P.E.K.K.A. to finish him off. And Kenzamishi, after going down in the first game, comes back in 2 games straight and gives a salute for another win. Now over to the Japanese side, over the Korean side once again. Valve Gaming picking up a first set win over Sandbox here.
Once again, Sandbox on a losing streak here. A long losing streak. It was a close one all the way to game number 3, but of course, the big change I think was how Kenzamishi was using his Royal Ghost to take the Goblin Hut out, and he had his own minions. Of course, you can't take out minions with a zap only, so minions were actually pushing in really hard, doing massive amount of damage with slimmer of HP there.
It really was a deja vu of game 1 where he lost to the Goblin Hut. Basically, Goblin Hut, he couldn't control that, and he basically lost to literally the P.E.K.K.A. deck that didn't work out. And game 3, he went back with the P.E.K.K.A. deck and saw that the opponent also had a P.E.K.K.A. as well, but at the same time, the Goblin Hut that he had such a hard time in game 1, he got that with the Royal Ghost, as you said, but also the Bandit did a tremendous job of just rushing directly to the hut and destroying goblins at a time, and very nicely played of compensating for what you lacked in game 1 with Kenzamishi coming back in game 3 to get the job done.
Yeah, Bandit actually is a super strong card. Once you have the hut on the other side, sometimes you would think, oh, the goblins will summon every like 5-6 seconds, and Bandit may just not connect into anything, and you will basically waste it. But you can actually time it perfectly to dash into the goblins and into the hut. And if it was low to begin with, you can dash into the hut and directly to the tower right after. So it takes some experience, but Bandit is one of my favorite cards actually in Clash Royale right now, and still very good. Of course, with the charge, with the dash damage, does tons of damage. That's small. It's not. She's not really the highest tanky unit, but once she gets a dash, once she gets the top done, maybe that's the card you need in the deck.
It's really what saved Kenzamishi in game 3, because that game 1 did not go his way. Really had to save against, really had to go against that same struggles where he had a hard time with in game 1, but came back to win that game altogether. Gonna be going on the 2v2 after Sandbox could not win out that 1v1 variant. You see Connie and Edo gonna be working it out as a communication unit against Valve Gaming here.
Second one, of course, with Yakitori and Rad. from Fab Gaming. What was that? The yakitori. Oh. Yakitori means
delicious.
Chicken skewers.
Yep,
in
love
Japanese. Lots of restaurants called yakitori, and of course I had some great moments in Japan.
I had some great yakitoris at my time. It's quite good. You know, a lot of these players like to kind of name themselves after their favorite foods.
I know.
We've seen that from, you know, we've seen players name themselves MLXG, Malashanggo, coming in from China. So that happens in, we see yakitori, very much a signature food in Japan, naming himself after that. There's still a lot of exciting things for Japan right now because they're heavily upwards ahead of Korea. At least in this day one so far. We haven't got to see the best Korean team with Kingzone Dragon X quite yet, but still in this day one with the three teams that we've seen from both of these regions, we still have seen an upward trend for Japan, while Korea has struggled for both of these series so far, and now this third series seemingly struggled just as equally.
Let's see, we do have the ban. Lava Hound ban from Sandbox. Tornado, a very usual ban from Fab Gaming all the time, but it's about Sandbox. I know even the manager went during the tryout, they were saying it's all about creativity. We are going to look for the creative players, the most creative players. And they actually brought the players with the most experience, most tournament experience from Korea.
Yeah.
But they have been really struggling so hard in the 1v1 and 2v2 together. Maybe this time they could turn that around, but Sandbox still on a losing streak and they're down 0-1 in set score.
The bans have been interesting so far for coming from Sandbox. 1v1 banning on the Golem. 2v2 now banning on the Lava Hound. A little bit more unpredictable, but less of a priority lately when it comes to the 2v2 bans. There are so many other spells and all the big units that people like to ban out in 2v2 situations, but this time, they felt like Lava Hound was a big priority. They went to focus down.
And Tornado also being out. Kani, also known as Pak Kani in Korea. 55, not... Gotta say, a lot of Japanese players are above 6k and massively above 6k, like 6.5 even. And compared to that, lots of the Korean players lower in trophy. Of course, that doesn't... Not saying that that matters a ton, but still just saying that consistency in this long time of league, it really matters a lot in terms of what you want to do and having some counter decks against the experienced players here.
Hey, you gotta give them that though, but you're talking about 5.7k now on Edo. Just could mean, we're talking about Shun kind of being the player to really the most valuable player we've seen from this tournament so far. He's around 5.8, 5.9k. So, like I said, it doesn't matter to the fullest extent. Just gives us an indication of how experimental these players are. Of course, if they want to just literally play with the same deck against random players to grind up their ranking, 6k, I think any player in here could easily get there. But the reason why they're at 5.7, some are even at lower 5ks as well. So all these things put together, it kind of shows us that some players like to kind of prioritize experimenting to make sure they practice with multiple different situations to make sure they're ready for all kinds of circumstances to come through.
Yeah, that's right. Here we have Yakitori 6.4 and lots of guards. You see a lot of Japanese players really playing the guard card.
6.6, wow.
Pretty high up there. Look at that Golem, which was banned last time, but not even in 2v2, of course. I think a Golem ban on 2v2 is actually quite a lot better compared to 1v1.
I agree.
Really forcing the opponent to go into another strategy because they should be prepped up with most of the Golem strategy in 2v2, but just kind of hitting on the point where you have the most preparedness. Taking that out, you expect them to actually bring something else.
Over the past 2 weeks, we have seen more of a Golem-centric pushes for most of the 2v2 matches we've seen so far. So banning out the Golem, obviously you won't get to use it on your end, but if you choose that, maybe we don't have to use a Golem to win, but we can ban the Golem on their side. It makes a lot of sense to get that ban done, but we saw it at 1v1. That was the confusing part because we don't usually see a Golem ban in 1v1 to a suspect that you'd think that's the main threat to go with then. Kind of a sandbox strategy coming in, but in 2v2, they're going to ban out the Lava Hound instead of the Golem.
And I'm always telling you, I'm telling everyone, always go for that strategy. And even for the Clan Wars Collection Day, and there's a mode where you just start with the overtime, and if you destroy the single tower, you win. Just go with the cheese. Sometimes that works. Of course, in this case, you have a lot longer time, but once you have that cheese, may actually work in one of the games.
We're just going to go into the games here, see if Sandbox can recover from the loss they faced in 1v1. You can see Edo and Kani on the bottom side, On the blue, we see Rad and Yakitori for FOV Gaming. On the top in the red. Starting us off with the Ice Spirit. Tombstone right there. Early Golem Summon on the side of FOV Gaming. And you see that rival just right back with the P.E.K.K.A. Summon on the left.
P.E.K.K.A. does have the Tombstone with the skeletons to delay somewhat of their attack. Double Prince.
Double normal Prince. Something we haven't seen for quite a long time. It's going to be just highly targeting out.
Even the Rage to take out the P.E.K.K.A.
The P.E.K.K.A. is going to be gone in a heartbeat right there. And can they make this work? Because Golems are basically now on from the side of FOV Gaming. Sandbox.
Those stone creatures gets taken out. Great Fireball to actually get all the damage from the Prince out of the way. Even use Rage on top of it, so a great trade onto Elixirs.
Great utility of that poison to get the shields out of the guards as well. So really making that ineffective. Miner being summoned once again for more chip damage. It's going to be rivaled out just right there by the Mega Minion. Golem being summoned again for FOV Gaming. Trying to go for another push. They went with a double Prince last time. Just counter away against the P.E.K.K.A. See them if they try it again, but Infernal Dragon.
It's a different push. Of course, you want to have some different push combinations of your own attack. Just a single Prince in this case. Also a poison to delay them pretty hard. Same Rage drops on top.
Just trying to get the Golem in as fast as they can. Still rushing through. Some damage on there, but see the Infernal Dragon still doing a lot of work there.
But equal Elixir trade, and Sandbox actually holding lots of both of their miners at the same time. So I was actually predicting that they would use it right before the defense ends. They want to wait for that poison time. Not really targeting onto that Tombstone though.
Just trying to go for the guards right away. Double Golem being summoned by Rad and Yakitori from FOV Gaming on the right side. This could change it up.
Some change for sure. Bats will take the miners out very soon.
Oh, the Zap's going to stop the Bats from coming through. And it's going to just allow the miners to keep pushing through. And double Prince in addition to Infernal Dragon with the Rage.
With the Rage, everything's coming FOV. Basically putting down everything right here. Fireball, great placement. Double Prince still pushing in.
Prince is going to get the charge. Prince is going to get the charge on the 1505, 1180. And we're going to still see it drop a bit by bit. The second Golem is still surviving to live another day.
Even the Infernal Dragon is still there. Shield is basically taken out. That
Fireball.
may just be the game.
Oh, but really good Fireball. Maybe just stopping it, but it's still not going to be good enough. As here, Rad and Yakitori pick up that first game. Very unexpected. Double Golem drop on the right side. Complete opposite what they've been playing for the past 3 minutes.
So the moment I was expecting the miner to come out, because Sandbox, they had the lead in the Elixir count. They used some in the defensive way, but not enough, not as much as FOV, because they also used the Rage and a lot of the spells on top to actually make their own push. And they actually gave time for FOV Gaming to get the Elixir to drop those Golems double. So it was a big mistake for them to actually have that time gained for the opponent team, which was quite unexpected for me. And those kind of things, when you don't know if you have the actual lead, when you don't know if you're winning in the game or losing in the game, if you have more Elixir at the time, I think it's a big advantage if you can't really count the exact number of Elixir that your opponent has at the moment.
A really good read on the flow that was happening between these two players. Seems like both players and both teams were heavily invested towards the left side to see who gets that first left tower initially. But FOV Gaming switching it all around, going heavily towards the right side. Now has gotten Sandbox into a little bit of hurdle there, forcing them to call the timeout here, giving them 1 more minute to sort things out. We know that losing this one in the game here now could get them another L on the board.
Yes, this 1 more minute may be the last minute they have for the night, and they may be going down to the last place of the whole Asian region.
No one has lost 4 times.
Not yet, and they may be the first one to actually drop down even further, which of course you don't want. And you do need a comeback, still need 2 wins in a row to have a massive comeback in this 2v2.
But you know what that is though? More importantly, Sandbox losing against FOV Gaming again could mean that Japan goes up 3-0 in record in their first day of competition against Korea, which would be absolutely huge, because We thought these were the two big regions which we're keeping our eyes on and keeping a close comparison on. And we thought that both would put up a good fight, but it has been so far that it might just go heavily towards Japan on the first day.
I can't wait till the end of the result of tonight, and the comments from the community will be fiery for sure. And if it's a 3-0, you know what's going to happen, everyone.
Korea, man. We thought they were the best at everything. We initially thought so, and it's definitely not wrong to lose that hope altogether, because it's only the first day. We can't just judge everyone on the very first day of things, but so far, Japan has looked really, really strong, and seemingly stronger than any other Korean team. Can try to put a force upon them.
The key point from Game 1 for Valve Gaming was that their spells were incredible. After their first push with the double prince, didn't really work on the left side. Even the Infernal Dragon on the left side didn't really work. Okay, gotta try something else.
Golem versus Golem here. So that
and a
Sam, Golem and a P.E.K.K.A. just trying to counter out the other Golem. So use it as a little bit of hybrid with a defensive offense at the same time. Prince being summoned there from the side of Valve Gaming. See the Infernal Dragon right there. Has to go up against the Electro Wizard though. We got another Rage used. He's gonna just abandon the Golem to B, and really just easy defense once again. Coming from the side of Valve Gaming.
Infernal Dragon still alive, locks onto the P.E.K.K.A.
Wow, it's gonna get free damage onto this P.E.K.K.A. here.
Graveyard Ito's favorite card personally in 1v1 comes into 2v2 again.
Poison very nicely played there. Completely nullifies all the threats coming in from the graveyard.
Look at Rad just one-handing this.
Absolutely
the guy got it.
I mean, the time of their life right now. Valve Gaming, of course, not the most successful team in Japan so far, only having gone 1-2 in record. Wants to get that streak a little bit going here for today's game. Getting a more even record at 2-2. Still hopes here.
Electro Wizard dropped a little bit too early because there was that small push coming in.
The Golem's gonna be almost meeting halfway. See the push coming from the Prince. So the Infernal Dragon now coming in from Sandbox as well.
Both Infernal locking onto the Golem. A zap to cancel Valve Gaming.
See the explosion not really connecting onto the towers there, and even the P.E.K.K.A.'s gonna go down to another Infernal Dragon strike. So really having a hard time. Sandbox, how can they compensate for this? Of course, this will be pushed away, but seeming like the elixir count has been going away from the side of Sandbox.
Just a little bit. I think they're about as even with that Dark Prince going
Double
down,
Golem.
maybe a little bit more.
Double Golem here. This is what got them the win last time. Pushing it on the same lane here, hoping it works again.
Less of a synergy onto this Dark Prince will be just going down. They do have the Magic Archer who will be doing tons of damage, but the Rage is on. Rage right on top, Golem straight onto the tower.
The second Golem is not even being touched.
Yeah,
and the P.E.K.K.A. is going to be going through in 13 seconds. It's going to be going down, and the Golem is finding it's still way to the King's Tower. 7 seconds.
Maybe the end, 5 seconds.
Nothing they can do. The towers are untouched for Valve Gaming, and that's going to be Sandbox losing it out once again. Valve Gaming looking extremely strong, even stronger than their first game showing. Very nicely played by these guys in Japan. Ultimately stronger than Korea on the day, and what a day for these guys in their home region, showing off that they are stronger than a lot of the people's favorites with Korea. Thought that maybe people thought we would just go through the end, but Japan really just strong showing from today's game and showing a lot of hopeful of what we can expect for the rest of the season.
After watching the last 2v2 from Sandbox, their synergy was quite off on those attacks, and they were just dropping whatever they had on top. You sometimes have to time perfectly to have maximum synergy. And what Valve Gaming actually had on top of the 2 Golem was the Rage spell, speeding that up with the speed, going directly to the tower. They had nothing in defense. They were losing in the elixir so much right before. I think they could have maybe be close to be defending one, but they were losing so hard in the elixir. Even before that, they were losing the synergy really big on this 2v2.
2 elixirs used for that raid to power up 2 golems at the same time.
Massive value.
That is incredible. You see that in the end, that was the one that finished off. In the end, Sandbox, after losing game 1 to the double golems, They couldn't figure out an answer in game 2, losing to double goals again.
Pretty tough, guys.
Look at that. The second goal line is not even touched. Absolutely incredible. Look at that. It's completely unstranded on its own and just doing 3 damage.
Predicted poison right before. Perfectly played just in case something else happens. Even the Magic Archer really can't do too much damage. Very actually weak in terms of damage. It shoots through the target, so does do massive damage once you get multiple hits. But unless that happens onto Golem, it'll take days. Like we'll be sitting here until Sunday.
Get on to the interview here with Five Gaming after winning that one.
Of course, let's hear from the coach first. We were actually having 2 losses in a row.
See them get a win finally.
And even after all the hard practice, I was pretty sure if they were pretty exhausted from all the practices, but I'm really thankful that all the team members followed and listened to me really well.
Yeah, talking about day and night practices from game with from the earlier interview, similar interview coming out now.
Even during the surprising moments, I had trust in my teammates, so I think that's how I really got over everything.
The trust between the players incredibly important there.
でも他のデッキもあるんだぞっていう風に自分を鼓舞してやったのと、やっぱりこう今週監督にきつい言葉を言っていただいたりしたことがあって、やっぱりこの一戦は落とせないなっていうところがメンバー全員に広がって勝てたかなと思います。感謝してます。
Did he expect a golem then?
Yeah, he expected a golem. Just basically expected the overall deck coming in from Sandbox. And really is, thorough preparation was the key there for Five Gaming winning out that one.
Yes, actually the coach scolded on him a lot. Yeah. But it was all worth it.
It was all worth it when you get the win.
I think really having the first victory on the 1v1 really helped us a lot in this match.
It's all about that momentum, just pushing that forward. Really show Five Gaming has a strong team right now.
The coach has been saying lots of bad things towards us.
Emphasize
a lot more than what you could imagine. That's from the translations guy. We're not making this up.
No, but it really emphasizing that scolding means that it became more of a nutrient for these players to take upon digest to make them healthier as players.
It was the first match against the other region, but I want to thank my teammates for trusting in me, being as a teammate.
Being a team leader to get the trust from their teammates, very nicely done by Five Gaming there.
Even without the golem, we have lots of strategies. We can do anything we want to. There are lots of ways to have a win just like this. We want to thank you.
Absolutely, just a small aspect we saw from Five Gaming today. We can see a lot more and a lot different aspects of them coming into the later days. And now we're just done for today. And Japan absolutely crushing Korea on day 1.
Yeah, I know that I've been really focusing on to the coach. Sometimes you need the whip, but the carrot will be a lot sweeter right after.
I mean, when that scolding turns into adrenaline for the players, and you can just give that all day, and even as a player, you can take that all day if that only translates into wins. So right now, just really just good plays. And it's not about just the wins. I don't think it's the W's does not tell the full story there. I think it's really about how they won the games. And
these W's on the right side, though. Japan having total dominance over all the Korean teams tonight. Of course, we still have one team left in each region.
You know, while I predicted ever since week 1 that Japan looked extremely stronger than the Korean region, I did not expect myself a 3-0 deficit for the Korean side. Obviously, you know, we're casting here from Ojin, and maybe we're expected to maybe cheer for the Koreans, but that's not the case.
Yeah, we do have Kingdom Dragon X, the best team from Korea tomorrow, and the Detonation also playing tomorrow as well. But still, tonight's result is pretty red to me.
Really is, and of course, you and Simon get to cover that action. I'll be watching from home. See how Kingzone, if they can pick up the first win for Korea here, but otherwise it seems like a very dominating performance all around from Japan. I'm sure they're feeling really good about the results they've gathered today. Really team effort.
And with these wins, GameWit and Ponos Sports, they will actually be 3rd place. Of course, they do have a loss, so they're not really tied up with the 1st place. Brainy Sports from C and Kingzone Dragon X will be playing tomorrow. with that 3-0. They will be looking another one against Destination Gaming. The first match, I believe, tomorrow.
Still suffering a loss there. That does not change. Maybe that undefeated chart could change all in a heartbeat with all these Japan forces really looking strong, and how long they can keep on their streak is going to be a question that we're going to be answering for the weeks to come.
Yeah, and look at that. Sandbox dropping to the last place with 0-4, Joel. I'm pretty disappointed from the games that we've been seeing from Sandbox, especially their 2v2. Maybe they really need to practice a lot harder. Maybe they need some scolding from coach.
There you go.
And
day and night practice has been the results that I've gathered for Japan. You can see the next matchup coming for tomorrow. Kingzone Dragonix, Mikey making their debut in the conference division against Destination Gaming. Ojin Entis and OPG Skeleton will be back to have another try at these Japanese teams to get the win, but really it's important to see whether Korea can pick things back up, because they still have 2 more days to go to get redemption on the play.
They will. So this full weekend will be filled with Korea versus Japan. It will continue until Sunday, so keep your eyes on. Of course, if you're watching from all the other regions, of course you do want to keep rooting for your favorite players and your team, but also gather some information of different metas from the other regions, how they want to finish this.
That's going to do it for us. We're going to be joined back by Simon and G-Clef for tomorrow's action. We're going to continue on the Korea versus Japan, so join us at 12 p.m. Korean Standard Time. We'll be back tomorrow for more Clash Royale.